Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the second part of the full campaign walkthrough for Path of Exile. Last video we left off finishing Act 5, so for the half of the game. This video will be covering Acts 6 through 10, getting us freshly into that end game. There was a couple things we left off with the last video, so one of them was replacing our belt and adding some lightning resistance to it, which I've already done. So you can see we're almost capped on lightning and then almost capped on fire and cold. We do want to get those capped out as soon as we can, but we definitely need some new gear. There's quite a few things we want to take care of at the beginning of the video here before we get rolling. One of the things I would say that we want to do is gamble. So right around this time is when I first like to start gambling. I actually forget which of these guys does gambling. Is it Faustus? Yeah. So, gambling, you'll actually gamble for the gold that we've been acquiring throughout, and a lot of times the gambling will give you some pretty good outcomes of gear. So, as far as gear goes, we really need some new boots, but unfortunately we have to make sure that these boots have movement speed on them, and ideally some resistances in life would be great. We'll go for some armor.
Not bad at all.
Okay, so that is a 4-link. You also get a higher chance at 4 links doing these as well, so that's also another great reason. So right here is perfect, actually. So we got 13% lightning resistance, 25 move speed, whereas we only have 10 right now, as well as some life, some additional armor, and some additional strength. So this is solid. We will definitely be throwing those on. We can throw these other pairs of boots. Let me see. Gloves can be replaced, honestly. Helmet can be replaced. Do we need this intelligence for anything? I think the only we have. So Herald Ash needs 46. We need 20. This is giving us 17 int. Yeah, so we'll have enough if we get rid of this helmet. So let's see if we can get a different helmet. So same thing. We're going to go for armor. Oh. This is actually, it's a nice roll on life, but unfortunately, with the 2 stats, that's not going to work for us.
Could do worse.
Okay, so this is good. Well, we can definitely use that, and then that actually, yeah. Oh no, no, we don't want to sell that. That would have been bad. Sell these off, and then let's get these replaced real quick. So, does this have a suffix? It does have a suffix, which means we can throw some more resistance on there. So that fixes our resistance issues. And then we need to try and get at least 1 green on this. There we go, perfect. Faster attacks with Leap Slam. So these are our 2 old ones. We can actually just toss these, we'll sell them. And then let's take a look at where we're at. So, we have plenty of lightning resistance now. We are short on fire by quite a bit, and then short on cold by a little bit. Let's see if we can fix that. So we're going to go to the waypoint, head over to our hideout, and then we are going to go to the crafting bench, and let's see what we can do here. So there is a suffix on these, and we need fire resistance. So let's definitely slap some fire resistance on here. Excellent. So that gets us almost to the cap on fire. Is there anywhere we can fit some cold? Yeah, we put some cold on this to get us rounded out. Cool. So we are just 2% shy of being capped on fire resistance, and then we are res capped once again right after we took that penalty after Act 5. Probably work on getting a better chest, but this chest is giving us a ton of resistances plus a good amount of life, so We'll be fine on that. Weapon, obviously. Main reason we want a better chest, or actually either of these can do, because they're both 4 links now. So the one thing we want to make sure is we get our links out of our weapon so we can keep upgrading our weapon. But can we get some attack speed now? We can. So let me check how many alteration orbs I actually have left. Okay, I have a decent amount. So we'll throw this in here. We'll craft some attack speed on it. And honestly, this type of axe is perfect. Just some increased physical damage and attack speed. That's ideally what we're looking for on pretty much every axe. If we can get some bonus stats on there, even better. Alright, and then let's look at our auras. So we're going to throw our Herald of Ash. We're not going to use Pride just yet. And then we're going to keep Enduring Cry for now. So those are the couple changes we're going to make to start. Now let's roll over here to the Twilight Strand. So this is where you started originally. If you remember, at the beginning of the game. And basically all we're doing here is we just want to make sure we kill every enemy in this zone. This is a quest for Lily, which will actually unlock her as a vendor to sell gems to us. So the same way Siosa was in the first video when we did the library, Lily is going to do the same thing. So we definitely want to unlock her for that. And then there is one gem we're actually going to purchase from her called Fortify. And we are going to grab that Fortify for the time being until we get some better gems. And I actually notice I have not been using my Blood Rage, actually. One of the things we're also going to do is start picking up gems that we aren't actually using. And what I mean by that is we're going to pick up gems for some other skills that we're not going to be currently using. And the reason we're going to do that is so they can start leveling up. Main reason is because obviously I want to get you guys through the campaign. However, we also want to make sure that you are set up going into endgame as well. So the idea is that after following this playthrough, you should be able to jump right into endgame and get through the first couple maps in endgame once we get there without any hassle. So one of the things we're going to do, so we definitely want to unlock her for that. And actually notice I have not been using my Blood Rage, actually. One of the things we're also going to do is start picking up gems that we aren't actually using. And what I mean by that is we're going to pick up gems for some other skills that we're not going to be currently using. And the reason we're going to do that is so they can start leveling up. Main reason is because obviously I want to get you guys through the campaign. However, we also want to make sure that you are set up going into endgame as well. So the idea is that after following this playthrough, you should be able to jump right into endgame and get through the first couple maps in endgame once we get there without any hassle. So one of the things we're going to do... Cool. So once it says talk to Lily for your reward, you're good. Exit out of there. But one of the things we're going to do is make sure that we're getting the correct gems we want in case we want to transition off of Sunder. So you can continue to use Sunder into the end game. It's perfectly viable. However, it is going to be better to use some other skills objectively. So that quest also gives you a respec book. So we're going to grab that. And now we are going to make our way over here to the coast. Okay. And then, like I said, we're going to be a bit more speedy through here. I'm going to explain less of the League mechanics, just to focus on getting you guys through to the end game, as well as shortening the time of this video. That way it's not as long. So, same thing, hug the right, kill as you go to keep your flask charges up. I'm not going to bother with that essence. Grab that jewel and that. Ooh. So let's get past these guys. I'm just killing just enough to keep going. Grab the waypoint. So definitely talk to Aelith here. This is for the breach mechanic. You're going to start using the breach mechanic in endgame, but you'll start encountering it from here on out. In my opinion, it's one of the better mechanics, and it helps a lot with crafting gear. So I would definitely focus on it as you see them. But of course not mandatory. A lot of people also elect to skip basically all of the League mechanics, so this is the breach mechanic I was talking about just a second ago. A lot of people actually elect to skip all mechanics in the campaign, just to get to the end game quicker. But that will be completely up to you. So in this zone, we're actually looking for a unique, which is this one right here, the Dishonored Queen. She's going to drop this Eye of Conquest, which we need in order to move on to the next zone. And I am actually going to skip this breach encounter. We'll discuss that more maybe later on, or I can even make a separate video about how to do each league mechanic if you guys want. We did get a passive point, so let's use that. So where we left off before, this was what our skill tree looked like. What I definitely want to do is come through this way to grab these nodes, and then also come down here to grab these physical nodes. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to start making our way over here. We are eventually going to drop Enduring Cry as well, just because there's some other nodes we're going to end up picking up that make it just significantly easier for us to generate endurance charges. Grab this crafting recipe. We're going to fight Tukahama. So same thing as the other bosses that we fought previously. Go in a circle. He then turns into this phase where there's these totems that are guarding him. You have to kill them first before you can continue to damage him. Boom. Once those are done, just keep pile driving them. He's done. Go through the other side. Keep going to the right to continue progressing. Again, kill as you need to keep your flash charges up. Make sure to kill any blue packs you come across. Alright, from the ridge, again, we're just going to skip through most of these guys. Again, same strategy, kill as you need. There's nothing real special about this zone, just keep moving forward. And as you've noticed, a lot of these zones are the same zones that you went through the first time in the first 5 acts. That's a nice thing of loot there. I'm not going to grab the bow because it's takes up too much space just for a chrome. We will grab those fusings though. Looks like I got baited here into the end. So come back this way. Big packs like this, go ahead and knock them out. Don't get killed trying to level up your gems like I almost did. So again, at this point, we're really using that Leap, Slam, and Frostblink combo to get ourselves around as quickly as possible. And then our goal is to just keep moving forward as fast as we possibly can to try and get to endgame. Like I mentioned in the first video, if you want to take your time to just kill more, over level a bit, that's perfectly fine. I'm already 2 levels, almost 2.5 levels over, so I'm not really concerned about it. Lower Prison. There is an Ancestors Trial in here, or I'm sorry, Trial of Ascendancy, rather. So we are going to want to do that. This is going to line up for our second Ascendancy. I don't know why I picked that up. So again, same thing, hug the right. I think it's going to be somewhere over here. Yeah, looks like it. I see these guys right here, these cages that spin. I usually don't waste my time fighting them. They're very tanky for whatever reason. And it takes a while to take them out. So even if there's a blue pack, I really won't waste my time fighting them. So let's do... And you can see this trial is even similar to the one we did in Act 1. Obviously, now we are much tankier and much faster. Always grab your crafting recipes. Grab it. Get out of here. Okay, and now we want to find the entrance to the next area. Which looks to be... Wow, there's a ton of density in here. Holy... Oop. Okay, come back over here. Looks like there's our exit. Chevron's Tower. Alright, so let's keep going over here. So I think we're going to come up here for Bastion Breaker first, just because we get that hits have 50% chance to ignore enemy physical damage reduction. That's going to equate to us doing much more damage per hit. And then once we kill the boss at the end of this zone and move on to the next, we'll eventually go back to town. And then that's when we'll grab some of the additional gems that I was talking about. So with this zone, there's going to be multiple stairs that you have to walk up. Same as the previous zone. Ooh, free jeweler's herbs. We'll definitely take that. Same as the previous zones. Just keep hugging the right. After a while, many of these zones, you'll start to learn. Just the more you play, the more characters you level. Obviously, you have to play through the campaign every time that you create a new character. So if you want to play different builds or try different skills out, you're obviously going to spend some more time going through the campaign. Some of these areas you'll start to learn the layout of kind of naturally. You can see even I'm going into dead ends occasionally, just because the layouts do always change. Okay, we should have one more to go through here. And we will fight the boss. This boss does pretty heavy lightning, so again, our resistances should be capped at this point. If they're not, I would really hard focus on that by looking for different gear, seeing what you can craft. But this boss specifically does a lot of lightning damage.
My life and my work, I shall not suffer this humiliation again.
Okay, so if you remember, this is Brutus from the first one. He's got a couple new tactics here. You're gonna get him down to about half health, and then he's gonna phase out, and Chevron is gonna take over. Again, these fights are very similar to the first versions that we fought them in the first half of the campaign. And then eventually they will fuse here, actually. Remember to war cry before you hit. It will increase the damage of your hits. Okay, so she's phased now. She will eventually come over here. They will fuse together. And now we gotta fight the two of them. Oh, wasted my hit there. Helps if you aim appropriately. I think we need to start looking for a new axe. I'm feeling kind of weak here. There we go, we're good. Now, you can just exit to the character selection screen. It will take you to the next zone automatically, but there is a crafting recipe here that I always like to grab. It is spell damage, which we're not going to be using, but I like to grab them all just because sort of a perfectionist like that. So here, just like in the first part of the campaign, there is a little divot there, that little hill you see right there on the map that you want to follow, because there is a side zone boss that we want to kill here, Aberoth, because he actually gives us skill points. So you want to look for this, Valley of the Fire Drinker. He has 2 phases as well. We're going to have this first phase fighting him. We're going to chase him through a bit of a valley, and then we're going to fight the second part of him. Yep, so he's phased. Go to the Cloven Pass. There's going to be some of these bovine guys that drop in. I just usually skip past them. Feel free to kill them. And same thing with this boss. Go in circles, leap slam out of his attacks, crossblink to chill him a little bit. But other than that, make sure you roar cry when it's available. Then slam, boom, he's done. Prisoner's Gate. This will take you back to the beginning. Now we can go to the end of the zone, get to the next area. Another juicy blue pack there. Oh, that's a lot of guys. Ooh, an Orb of Annulment. Okay, so I don't believe we dropped one of those before. I don't believe we dropped one in the first half of the campaign, so I can explain that real quick. So what an Orb of Annulment does is it allows you to remove one prefix from from a piece of gear, and then it randomly. So if you have a piece of gear that you want to craft something on because it has really good other stats, but it already has 6 stats on it, you can use an Orb of Annulment to randomly remove an affix from that piece of gear. I think I said prefix last time, but it can remove prefixes or suffixes, mind you. So pretty good, but obviously it is random, so you do have to be careful. This zone, you just follow the brick roadway that you've seen I just took there to get to the next zone. Nothing special or additional that you have to do in this zone, or in that last zone. In this zone now, the riverways, once we find the waypoint, we are going to veer off from the roadway, actually. Because there is another side boss in this zone, or that connects to this zone, that is usually over here to the left of the waypoint. And there you are. The wetlands. So, same thing in this one. We're just going to be looking for the boss arena. Usually, again, I actually hug the left side of the map in here. Don't ask me why. I just feel like I find the boss arena quicker by doing it on the left side in here. Could be wrong. That could just be my bias. But as you can see, boom, there we go. Spawning ground. Now, once you get in here, there's going to be these 3 little mouths that you have to destroy. These Raslotha's nests in order to summon Raslotha, who is the boss that we're actually going to fight. Boom. She summons. Now, she does do chaos damage. She does poison damage, which we basically have absolutely no defense at right now. So, you do need to give this boss a little bit of respect. Unless you're just doing obscene amounts of damage already, which you could be if you found a really good axe. But if you don't, same strategy. Obviously, avoid the poison pools, avoid her attacks, and then just circle around her and slam. Just like that. Now we're going to exit the character screen, and we're actually going to pick up quite a few different skill books here. So we're talking to Bestel. He's going to give us 1 skill book that we're going to grab. Talk to Tarkly. He's going to give us another one. And then he's also going to give us a free helmet. So we obviously want to take the armor one. And he's going to give us a 2nd skill book. So this is for defeating the bosses that we just defeated. So now we have 4 skill points to play with, actually. So we're going to do some damage here. We're going to finish this wheel for Bastion Breaker, which is awesome. And then we're actually going to take this mastery for 10% more maximum physical attack damage, so it just raises the ceiling of what we can do. And then we're going to start going into this wheel. So, nice little damage boost right there from those 4 points. Okay, let's figure out what all we got in our inventory here. So this is crap, we don't want that. This is energy of invasion rating. This... yeah, it's not better than our current one, and neither is this. So we'll throw those out, throw that out. Oh, and then let's also see... again, that jewel's not crazy. We won't go over jewels right now. There's a lot to jewels. I can sell these. I don't even know why I picked these up, to be honest. Jewels can be a bit complicated, so we won't go over those right now. And then let's grab some gems. So what we want to do is we want to click this button right here, which is your weapon swap. And then we just want to buy any weapons with sockets in it that we can use. So for instance, this is a 2-hander. So this is a 1-hander. Let's buy this one. And this is another 1-hander. Let's buy this one. So the reason we're buying these is just so we have slots to actually put additional gems in, right? So one of the gems that you guys may want to switch to once we do get to the end game is going to be Earth Shatter. So we are going to buy 1 Earth Shatter. Some of the other gems that we are eventually going to want to use is Overexertion. So Overexertion support. We are also going to want, I actually forget what it's called right here, Auto Exertion. And then we are going to want... what am I looking for here? Cry. Okay. So we're gonna want... Let's actually do... General's Cry, Infernal Cry, Battle Mage's Cry. So what we're eventually going to do is use overexertion support in conjunction with auto-exertion. What this will do is when we have this attached to a slam skill, for every war cry that we are using that's exerting us, it's not actually going to exert our attacks anymore like we're currently using Seismic Cry to do. However, what it is going to do is it's going to just give us a flat added percentage of damage, which gets pretty insane. So we're going to start leveling up those gems so they're going in the meantime while we're going through the axe and all until we can actually start implementing them. So we're going to go back to the riverways. And instead of veering off like I did before, we're going to continue following this road through to the end. And I'm usually jumping in front, and then if there's a big pack still following me, I'll slam behind them. So once you get to the end here, you're going to want to go to the right, and then you'll find the Southern Forest. Again, with the Southern Forest, hug the right side here, and just keep moving. Nice blue pack there. Keep going over here. Huge packs here. We'll definitely kill them. Grab that shrine. Level up all those gems. I think this is actually going the wrong way. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I get it right. Yeah, looks like it's right. Come through here. And kill these blue packs. Keep hugging that right side. Yeah, when you see big packs like that, slam behind you. That way that cascade hits them. And there we go. We found what we're looking for. Our waypoint. Go to the Cavern of Anger. In here, we're just picking up this flag. Go through to the passage, and then you're in one of these caves. So once you get into the cave, same thing. Again, a lot of these zones, my strategy is typically going to be to hug the right side and keep following it unless I see something that doesn't look right on the map, which I'll typically try and call out. Look all those gems. So obviously, this is looking like it's a dead end, possibly. Oh, maybe not. Oh, there we go. There is the entrance over there. So it might actually be this little swing out over here. No, I think it is going to be this way. Nice blue pack there. Orb of Alchemy. We'll grab that. Actually, I think this might be... Yeah, I'm getting debated again. Maybe it is that way. Interesting. Let's actually see if it is down here. Is it? Oh, yep, it loops around. Yep, I missed it. Alright, so we'll come around here to get out of this cave network. Go to the beacon. Grab the waypoint here. And then for the beacon, same thing. I'm going to hug this right side. Kill any blues I find. Level up our gems. And believe it or not, we're actually almost at the end of Act 6, guys. So like I said, in this second video, we're really going to be zooming through the campaign. Once you get to Act 5 and you kind of get all your gems set up and you start getting some better gear, higher level gear, you really are able to zoom as long as you got your movement skill and you're not spending too much time fighting every single thing you find. It's one thing I will say as a tip is don't waste your time fighting every single pack you come across. Grab the recipe there. Now at the end of the beacon here, there are these little things with these circles. You basically have to stand in the circle until it goes around the entire area. It's kind of like an escort mission. By this point, we should have so much power that we can just clobber these guys. Yeah, we're 1 and 2 hitting yellows, so we're in a good spot. Keep leveling up those gems. We're gonna keep going down this wheel right here. Two-handed weapons. And that's actually gonna give some attack speed too, which is always nice. Looks like our mana is draining faster as well too, so we might have to look into that. Almost got this first one done. Sunder just leveled up, so that's going to equal some more damage for us. Okay. So that beacon is done, and we're going to come over here, and we're going to do literally the same exact thing to this one. Let's grab those old with some alteration. Ooh. Sitting us hard. That's why it is nice to have Enduring Cry still, because whenever you start getting hit hard like that, we can throw it on to gain some more regeneration. We're going to get some other sources of regeneration as well, and we're going to get some more defenses through our Ascendancy. If you chose to go with the Berserker Ascendancy instead of the Juggernaut, so the Juggernaut's definitely the safe route because it's just quality of life and a lot of defenses naturally. If you decided to go with the Berserker, you should be doing a lot more damage at this point. We're going to hit the ignition switch and then click on the beacon. And you want to run down these stairs, wait for the ship to roll over, and then talk to Waylam Roth and sail to the Brine King's Wreath. So now we are actually going to be in... So this is the last zone before we fight the boss. This boss does primarily cold damage, just like in Act 1. So again, I'm going to hug the right over here. But with the level of defense that we currently have and the damage we shouldn't have, there should be no issues getting this boss down and moving on to Act 7. Then Act 7 is actually going to be relatively quick as well, honestly. Sometimes this one can be a bit tricky to find. This zone usually always trips me up, I don't know why. What kind of essence is that? Woe is for spell damage, we don't need that. It's not really going to do us a whole lot. If you don't know what the essence does, I would, like I said in the first video, Acts 1 through 5, I would always suggest just killing every essence mob you come across, as long as it's not going to take forever to kill. Until you start learning what each essence specifically does, and that will just come with time. Over here. Scouring Orb. So I don't think we had a Scouring either. I'll go over that here in a second. Once you get into this boss arena, walk up here to Nessa until you see her talking down here. The boss will not spawn until she starts talking, and you won't be able to fight him until she's done talking, so it takes a bit of time. But an Orb of Scouring, that's this little guy right here. Yep, wrong key. This little guy. So it removes all modifiers from an item. So what it does is this yellow chest, if I were to use that Orb of Scouring, it would effectively make that yellow chest a white. So it completely removes all affixes, affixes rather, from the item, making it a completely normal item. So you can start crafting on it. It's very useful in certain cases. Alright, so we already phased him into the first phase. He's going to have 3 of these sections where he does this. Basically, the arena constricts tightly like you just seen, and then you have those little white pools on the ground that do damage and explode periodically. Just do your best to move out of them. Hit him as you're circling him. Here we go. Phase 2. During this phase, usually he does summon some adds as well, which actually is a benefit to us, because as we kill those adds, it's going to give us charges for our flasks. And then also, because we have Blood Rage, it's going to help give us Frenzy Charge generation, which obviously is going to give us more attack speed. So, alright, so this is the last one he's going to do. At this point, the arena is going to stay this size, so it gets very tight here. But again, we shouldn't have any issues taking him out. Couple more slams. And he's done. Grab these. And then once you kill Brine King here, so the boss of Act 6, this actually unlocks a new mechanic called the Pantheon. So talk to Stin, and he's going to open up this window. You can, by default, normally open this window by clicking Y, and then you're going to have these. So you have these 4 major Pantheons. You get to choose one of them, and then you have these various different minor Pantheons, which you get to choose one of as well. So you can always have one major and one minor. You can see we've already killed some, so Aberrath was one, Tukahama was one, and then Raslatha was one, and then obviously Brine King is our first major Pantheon. So we'll go ahead and select him. Obviously, there is no other choice. And then between these guys, so less duration of Ignite on you, that's useful. 3% additional physical damage reduction per second. You've been stationary up to 9, and then life flask gain 3 charges every 3 seconds. Increased life recovery. For right now, we're going to use Tukahama. We don't really want to use either of these or any of these. They aren't going to be what we're going to go into endgame with, but we'll take something over nothing right now. Talk to Walem and then sail to the bridge encampment, and now you have completed Act 6. So we're going to roll into Act 7. Let's clean up our inventory first. I think it's a Yena here. Yep, identify items. These boots are actually pretty decent. So they have a suffix. They have 20% movement speed. So it is 5% less movement speed, but it is more life, more strength, more armor, and it's already got... and it's got more lightning resistance with the suffix, so we're definitely going to switch out those boots. These are actually nice, but there is no movement speed, so those are definitely no bueno. So let's run over to our hideout here. So as you guys see in there, I mean, what I'm doing specifically to see if a piece of gear is better than what I'm wearing is, again, we're looking for resistances. Specifically on boots, we're looking for movement speed, and then we're also looking for any combination of life and armor, life regeneration, anything that is beneficial to our build. So this is perfect for us. By holding Alt, I can see that we already have 3 prefix modifiers there, and there is only 2 suffix modifiers, so there is a suffix open. Resistances are always suffix modifiers. So that means anytime you see a suffix open on a piece of gear, that should be a green flag to you, because that means you can craft resistances onto it. So we had fire crafted on this. Our current boots have 13 lightning. These have 25 lightning, so they already have more lightning than what we already had. So we'll throw a fire resistance craft on here. Perfect. We are losing the 4 link, which sucks, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. Throw the rest of this stuff in our inventory. I'll throw these essences in here too to free up some more space. We do need to just get 1 green socket on here. That's ideally, it's not the biggest ideal. Perfect. We just needed these 2 linked for our leap, slam, and faster attacks combo. Throw this in here. I will put these boots in here real quick just because they are better. One of the other things we want to do now is we want to roll back to Act 7. Town, and we want to see if there is a better axe we can get. 61 to 92. So that's item level 55. This is item level 52. So that's definitely better axe. So we got some gold. Let's see if we can gamble. Who's our gambler here? Oh, Faustus is actually over here. So I think it's him. Yeah. So let's actually gamble for a better axe and see what we can do.
Could do worse, Exile.
62 to 128. So this is actually pretty decent. 1 to socketed gems, which is where my link would have to be right now anyways. It's adding some additional fire damage. And we have a suffix open for attack speed. So this is good enough for right now. That's going to add some additional... Actually, it isn't better. Why isn't this better? Yeah, we're actually going to hold off on this. This will add an extra level to all of these gems here, which is definitely helpful. That's pretty significant, but it's just not enough physical for whatever reason. That is a chunky piece of fire damage, though. So let's go for 1 more, see what we can get here. So right here, this is way better. This is actually significantly better. It sucks that it has the dexterity because we can't craft the attack speed onto it. But we can use some whetstone. So yeah, we're actually going to go with that second axe. Wrong button here. We'll sell this one. And then the only issue is that we do need to clear out this helmet and then hopefully get this to go for red, which should be pretty easy. And it's going to prove me wrong here. Use every one of my chromes. There we go, Jesus. Full armor. So that should have been a lot easier to link. I don't know why. Or color all red. I'm not sure why it took forever like that. Sometimes you get unlucky. So if we look here, our current damage with Sunder is 7,322. That's 10,894. So significant increase there. These are the perfect colors for us. We'll put this axe back in here. Awesome. So we're good there. And then let's get started on Act 7. We are going to have to re-enable our Herald of Ash. And now we should just be absolutely mowing through guys with the damage increase. There is this little fortress up here for our quest item. This isn't mandatory, but I do typically do it. I believe it gives like a belt or a flask of some sort. It's usually going to be somewhere up here in this area. Add another point to our two-handed, get some more attack speed, which is, again, always going to help. Place some of those crumbs that I ate up just a second ago. Orb of Alchemy. Contempt we will do. Excellent. Level up our gems. Again, I'm just looking for almost like this monastery, like broken fortress looking thing. Here we are. There's just a little pickup here that I'm going to grab. Silver locket. We're going to take that back to Whalem in town. What is this essence? Whoa, we don't need. Again, that's spell damage, which is irrelevant to us because we're not using spells. We're going to head to the crossroads. Now, the crossroads, just like the crossroads in Act 2, same thing. So this one is going to be 4 different ways. We are going to want to go down all 4 ways. So I usually grab the waypoint here, and then I go to the right, because the Felshire Ruins here has a dungeon in it that has something we are required to use if we were to go to the left. So I figure it's just easier to go to the right first, grab that item that we're going to need anyways, and then keep it moving. So same thing here, we're just going to keep going, following the roadway all the way to the end. Kill the blue packs as you see them, or any major packs that you see. It's an armor shrine, which is definitely beneficial to us. Again, just keep following until you get to the end here. Go into the crypt. So there's going to be 2 levels in the crypt. On the first level, there is another Ascendancy trial, which we are going to want to do. So let's see if we can find that and get that taken care of first. Looks like it's actually over here. Perfect. Skip past all these levers until you get to this one. Open the door here. And then all the other levels you see here, levers you see here, just skip completely past them. You don't need to touch any of them to actually get to the end. It's a trick. They're tricking you. Grab the crafting recipe, portal, and now we want to go to level 2 to actually grab that quest item that I was talking about. So right over here is level 2. And then we're basically just looking for that exclamation point that you've seen pop up on the map before. But until we find it, again, we're going to hug the right and kind of just start mapping out the perimeter of the zone. Right there, you see we just dropped a Chaos Orb, so we will go over that here in a second, because that's pretty important. Exit the character screen. Go back. Talk to Helena real quick. Or actually, not Helena. We're going to talk to Whalem, give him that locket that we picked up. And he's actually going to give us a new flask. So for these ones, we're not going to continue using these. Just grab the quartz flask. So I guess for that quest, you can definitely skip it unless you haven't got a granite flask before for any reason. I do want to quickly go over this Chaos Orb that just dropped. So the Chaos Orb, if you are playing in the trade version of the game, which is the most popular that most people play, Chaos Orbs are used for various bench crafting recipes, but they are also used almost as like a $1 bill. So a lot of items that drop, for instance, if this axe was out there early in the league, somebody might put this up for 1 chaos, and you can actually buy that from them on trade. So chaos, think of chaos as like your $1 bill, and then if we ever get a divine orb to drop, which we probably won't in this playthrough, but who knows, we could get lucky. The divine orb is more like $100 or so. It depends. Depends on the league, but usually there will be hundreds of chaos orbs that are worth 1 divine orb. But this, if you use it for its actual purpose, which is the currency side of it, it actually reforges a rare item with new random modifiers. So if I were to use this on this chest, it would completely remake the item. The item itself would stay the same, but every stat on it would change. So we'll throw that into our... We've actually gotten 6 of those. So I don't know if I already explained that before in the first video, but if I have, then oh well. Alright, we'll go back to the waypoint. We're going to go back to the middle, and then again, like I said, this time we're going to go left. Again, just follow the roadway here. Kill any big packs. Wow, there's a lot of blue guys here. We'll grab that chrome recipe. And then we're going to go to the Chamber of Sins level 1. Now, in the Chamber of Sins level 1, we are basically just looking for the waypoint, which we actually just found already. It's usually going to be in the center. Which I believe I'm going to have to circle around here to grab. And then we are actually going to use that quest item that we picked up. Fears for minions, so we don't care about that. We're not going to do that one. We'll grab those portal scrolls. The quest item that we picked up when we went to the Fellshire Ruins, to the crypt, we're actually going to use to open a portal here so we can access the second level of... Nope, wrong way. The second level of the Chamber of Sins, which there is going to be another Ascendancy trial. Once we get this one, we should be able to ascend for the second time. And I think I actually walked right past the entrance over here. Yep. Okay, so grab this crafting recipe, grab the waypoint, go to the map device, and then Malagaro's map, which is what we picked up. We're going to want to throw that in here. Again, you can drag it over or control... left click, activate. So down here, we're going to grab Wrecking Ball, so it's a huge increase to our attack speed and some damage. Always nice to see. Now it's going to open up a map. This is very much what the end game will look like, so it's kind of giving you a sneak peek into what the end game is like. Again, for this zone, we're going to continue to stick to the right side. Now, if you notice on my gems on the side there, one of my gems is gray. I don't think this has happened previously, but even when I'm clicking level all, you can see that gray gem is still staying there. So, kind of tells you something's wrong with it, right? So, anytime you see a gem that's gray like that on the side, it basically means it's unable to level up anymore because you are lacking one or more requirements. It can be the fact that you're not high enough level to level it up to the level the gem needs to be at. It could be that you don't have attributes needed to level it up. In this case, I believe it's going to be that we don't have attributes. So if I look here, Herald of Ash, so right there in red, you can see it requires 51 intelligence to level it up any further, and I only have 50 intelligence. So in order to get this out of my face, instead of left-clicking it to typically level it, you can right-click it, and then it's going to put it down here with our other gems that we don't want to level. So now we're going to fight Malagaro again. Again, give him a little bit of respect because he does do chaos damage, but again, with the amount of damage that we do, he should not be a problem. He's going to phase twice and summon 2 mini-bosses that you have to fight. The first one being the Black Death here. Just with any other boss, continue to walk around him. Use Leap Slam and Frost Blink to dodge his attacks where possible. He's phased again. He's going to summon Fidelitas, who is actually one of the bosses that we killed in Act 2. We're going to make short work of him, and then we're going to continue to clobber Malagaro here. So this is a phased attack he does. There's nothing you can do. Just continue to move. He's done. Armor scrap. Grab the black venom. Portal out here because it will actually take you back to this area. You're going to want to give that to Silk, and he's going to give you the obsidian key, which will allow you to move into the second level of the Chamber of Sins. Roll down to the second level. And then, like I said, in here, there is going to be that last trial of Ascendancy that we're going to need to complete our our second Ascension. So you can see already on the map, we see the levers there. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be down here on this side. Another big pack there to... Yep, here we go. Here's our Trial of Ascension. Again, skip past all these saw blades. You don't have to click any levers here. They're all tricks. Skip past them all. Grab the crafting recipe. Amethyst ring, very nice. That is hopefully something good. Click the trial, so you can see right here, now we've got them all. We can actually ascend now. We're not going to ascend just yet. We'll ascend once we get to Act 8, because, believe it or not, we are actually already halfway done with Act 7. Now, we need to find where into this zone is. This can be up here. Wow, lots of blue guys. Lots of blues. Ton of XP there. Yep, so we found it. Keep going here. This is double essence, so we'll take that. Just like that, he's down. So again, damage is looking really good, especially since we upgraded to that new axe. As we level our gems, it's only going to get better. Click the secret passage and enter into the den. Grab the waypoint at the den, and again, same thing here. We're going to want to make our way through here to the next zone. There is nothing special in this zone that you need to watch out for, so you can just continue to move. Alright, so this next point, we are actually going to put, with this, attacks with two-handed weapons deal 60% increased damage with hits and ailments, but we get 10% reduced attack speed. The reduced attack speed is well worth it for the 60% additional damage. That's a solid trade-off. Hit this essence as well. Nice. It's dead. Continue to just keep rolling through here. This is almost kind of like a big circle, this zone. So eventually you will get to the exit that you're looking for. Just like that, we found it. So we're going to exit into the Ashen Fields. With this zone, grab your waypoint and then quite literally just follow the road down. So again, with in this zone, a lot of times if you find the road, you can follow it all the way. That's pretty much going to take care of it for you. There's nothing else in the zone that you need to go and do. We're going to go in here to the forest encampment. And now we actually need to defeat Garus, who is taken over by... actually, I forget this guy's name. So we're going to fight a couple mini-bosses here. And then eventually Garus spawns here. Don't forget the war cry and then slam. Will do significantly more damage when he doesn't have a bubble on him. Just like that, he's done. Ralakesh, that's who it is. And then actually, once we go back to town, because you cannot change your Pantheon that we talked about before when you're not in town, we're actually going to change our minor Pantheon to Ralakesh because he helps with bleeding damage, which is definitely a pain for us. On this side, we're going to stick to the left side, actually, and we're looking for the Dread Thicket. So, if you've never played before, this would have been the location that you went into to get your hideout for the first time. In this case, there's going to be some quest items in here that we need to grab on top of a crafting recipe and a side boss that we want to fight for a skill book. Okay, so we got an Exalted Orb again. I'm not sure if we have one, if we've received one of these already in the playthrough or not, but I'll briefly explain what that does. All an Exalted Orb does is it acts basically like a souped-up version of an Orb of Augmentation. So I explained that an Orb of Augmentation allows you to add an additional affix to a blue item. An Exalted Orb does the exact same thing to a rare item. So they're quite a bit more rarer to find, but they do allow you to add another affix to a yellow item. We're going to go into the Den of Despairs. This is that side boss I was just referring to. So we want to kill Gruthkul. This will add another minor Pantheon, but killing her will also give us a skill book. So we definitely want to take her out. Same strategies. Cry and slam. Boom. She's done. And then in this zone, I basically just take a big circle around. We are collecting all these fireflies. I believe there's 7 in total that we have to grab. You can see them by the little yellow exclamation points on the map there that kind of indicate where they're at. And then there is a crafting recipe in here, like you can see right there on the map. This gives fire damage, so not imperative for us, but again, I like to just collect them all, just in case we ever need it or want to change our build for any reason. Especially in solo self-found like we're playing right now, because if you ever want to play a different character with a different build, you don't want to have to be chasing those recipes later on. Cool, so when it says deliver fireflies to Yena down here at the bottom, that tells you that you have collected all of them successfully. We're going to go ahead and exit the Dread Thicket back to the Northern Forest and continue moving up. There is another quest in this zone that you can do. You have to talk to Helena to get Groost's necklace after you defeat him. And then you can post it on, or put it on a pedestal found. So it's actually, there it is right there at the Asmiri Shrine. You can actually put his necklace there, and it will give you an armor reward. I forget exactly what it gives you, whether it's armor or weapon. We just upgraded our weapon, and our armor is pretty good right now. We're going to get some more upgrades shortly, and with gambling, we don't really need it, so we're not going to waste time doing it. But if you would like, more welcome to. Leveling up our gems. Now we're going to enter the Causeway. The Causeway is a little bit of an awkward zone, so we'll go over that in a second. So from here, we've gotten all of these down here that we wanted. Now we're actually going to come up over here and grab some of these nodes, so some more intelligence, which will help us. There's nothing we actually need intelligence for other than that Herald of Ash, but again, we're going to get to a point where we don't use Herald of Ash anymore. So not really important. There is a quest item at the very end of this zone that we're going to pick up. It's very hard for you to miss it because it's quite literally in the same area that you click on to get to the next zone. But we do want to make sure we pick that up because it will give us a skill point. So this zone is a bit mazy. Again, I stick kind of to the middle/right. When you see little gaps like that, you can actually use Leap Slam to jump over the gaps, which make it significantly quicker. You can see now with the damage we got going on, we're basically clearing the entire screen, whichever direction that we're going to. Nice, another Exalted Orb. That's nice. Bit of a tanky rare. Actually, a lot of rares in this zone, actually. So you can see that little exclamation point. So I just got frozen there, so you can see that's pretty deadly. One of the Brian King Pantheon that we chose is actually going to give us some immunity to freeze. This Kishara star that's right here, this is what I was talking about. Make sure you grab this. We're going to return to Whalem and give him that for a skill point. And now the Val City is a very large zone, so don't feel bad if you get a little lost in here or it takes you a while to find the next zone. It usually takes me forever as well. It's a very large zone, again, kind of mazy in how it's set up, but I find that typically where we're looking for the next entrance to the next zone is typically in the middle, so I try and actually stay in the center as much as I can when I'm navigating through this zone. Let's see if we can find it here. Some other good blue packs to kill here. Might actually be around here. I think that might be it right there. It's actually towards the left. Again, don't, yeah, here it is. See, I was short there on flash charges, so I just stuck around and killed a couple enemies to grab some more flash charges. We'll work our way up over here. Perfect, grab the waypoint, give the fireflies to Yina, take the waypoint back to town, and we're going to turn in some various different things for some skill books. So we just got 2 there from Iramir. Go to Yina, go to Helena. Helena's actually going to give us a boot reward, so we're going to grab the armor, obviously. This is where you could take the Groose necklace to put it on the Asmiri shrine. We're not going to do that. We're not interested in doing it. Let's sell whatever we got in here. We're not using daggers, so I'm just going to sell this. Wow, this ring is actually pretty decent. So let's hold on to that for a second. This one is not great. These boots aren't great. The fire and lightning resistance is nice, and the armor is pretty good. The 8% increased armor is nice, but there's no movement speed, so there's no point in us keeping that. We're going to sell those off. Let's offload some of this stuff into our inventory. That flask is better than ours. Yeah, let's throw all this stuff away. We're going to take another look at that ring here in a second. And then we're going to roll over here to Whalem to get our other skill book. Boom. Cool. So we got 3 more skill points to play with. Like I said, we're going to keep going down here. We're going to grab the strength node. We're going to get Master of the Arena, which is going to give us some increased melee physical damage, extra strength, and life regen, which is always nice to have. And then we're going to come down here and grab these 2 nodes right here. So this 2-handed node and the Destroyer node with some extra physical damage and attack speed. Cool. Let's take a look at this ring. So we don't have a suffix to add. However, it's giving us 35% cold resistance and another 14% all res, which is really nice, actually. So that's actually already better than this ring right here. And we can actually add some life to this ring. So let's head back to our hideout and craft something on this. So it has an open prefix, so we could actually add a bit more damage to this as well. So you can see here, we can add any of these damage modifiers to it, or some life, some mana. I'm just going to go with the life. And that actually gives us some chaos resistance, so we can keep that ring for a little while here. We're still 8% chaos, so not a big deal, though, until we get to the end game. Now we're going to go back to the Val City waypoint and into the Temple of Decay. So these are the last couple zones we're going to be in before we actually fight the boss of Act 7. So we're almost done with Act 7 as well. This zone, again, is kind of mazy. These last couple zones of Act 7 are kind of loop around and kind of windy a bit, unfortunately, but you'll learn them as you go. Again, I would focus on trying to create a perimeter, stick to either the left or the right side, and then as you play through these zones more, you'll start to learn kind of what direction to start going, what little things you see in the way the zone is laid out that tells you where the next area is. So keep going down these stairs. There's nothing special in these zones that you need to watch out for like there was in the other zones. There is a crafting recipe in one of them, which obviously I would recommend getting, but it's not integral by any means. This essence is actually pretty tanky. Got him. Keep going. The doors are a pain, but just keep pushing through. Blues, more Valor. Nice, we're going to need those for the end game. So what I'll probably do is after we complete the campaign here, I'll take this character somewhat into endgame to give you guys an idea of how that works. But let me know in the comments if there's anything specifically that you wanna see when it comes to going beyond the campaign, or anything additional in regards to the campaign that you guys would like to know or like to see. What I'll do is I'll also probably level some other character builds through the campaign as well, to see so you guys can see how some other characters can also go through the campaign. The idea will be the same, but obviously every build is a little bit different, so there's different things you want to look out for in different playstyles. It's gonna be this way, actually. Be sure to keep leveling up your gems as they are available. Okay, go down the stairs, see what we got here. So we're gonna grab that destroyer node. It's gonna be some more damage for us. You can never have enough damage. Yeah, we are going to focus more on defenses once you do get to the end game. However, so in the zone is that crafting recipe I was talking about. But we're not focusing on defenses too much right now, because if we die in the campaign, it's not that big of a deal. I would rather be have more damage so we can get through the campaign quicker than worry about being defensive so we never die, because the 1 or 2 times we actually do die is going to be pretty insignificant in relation to the time that we're going to lose by not dealing as much damage on average. If that makes sense. Stairs. We're actually just slightly over leveled, so we're not doing too bad. And this will be the last zone before we fight the boss. Here we go. Arakali's Web. So Arakali is the boss here. So again, this boss does do chaos damage, so you do want to pay a little bit of respect to him. Because depending on how many times you get hit, you can get chunked. But the attacks are pretty predictable. She will phase out, like she just did. Wait for her to reappear here. And then just sink her health again. Yeah, see that? There was a chunky hit there. Gotta be careful of these balls, and she's done like that. So, again, just avoid the mechanics where you can. Awesome. Done there. Go into the Sarn Ramparts, and we will start Act 8. So this is another breach. We're not going to worry about doing that. We will kill some of the monsters, though, for some extra XP. Okay, so there's a Rogue Exile, and they didn't drop anything of good, so they died pretty quick, though. Boom, go up the stairs. And then the stairs is a pretty straight shot. We're just going to keep moving through here. I find that Act 8 is a bit of a longer act, in my personal opinion. But we'll still get through it pretty quickly, especially after we do this next Ascension, because this next Ascension we're actually going to go for the damaging Ascension. So it's going to allow us to move through the campaign even quicker. Again, the whole goal is to get through the campaign as quickly as possible so you can get to the end game and start farming your maps, because that's where the real currency and build development is going to occur. Alright, so we have made it to Act 8. We are going to offload our inventory here. Alright, so like I said, we're actually going to ascend first before we go into Act 8 and start actually playing through. So we're going to go to the same location. This time we're going to take the Cruel Labyrinth. So it suggests that you're level 55 when you do this. We're level 56, almost 57, so we're perfectly fine. If you're under, you can absolutely do this too with the way we're building our character. Our character is pretty tanky and does considerable damage at this point. So if you are under 55 and still want to try it, feel free. You shouldn't have any problems. And then the strategy is going to be the same here. We're going to want to keep going straight. So in this case, we're going down a bit, but it looks like there is an option to go straight to the next zone that we want to go to. So let's loop around here to see if we can find that next entrance. And it looks like it's right here around the corner. There we go, Aspirant's Trial, that's what we're looking for. Again, the first time you do each version of Labyrinth, there's going to be a new crafting recipe here. Don't forget to grab it.
Slowness lends strength to one's enemies.
Real quick on auras, we have Herald of Ash currently. There is another aura, if you want even more damage and your mana is better built, you can actually put another aura on called Herald of Purity, which is actually going to give you more physical damage, which is exactly what we want, and it actually is going to summon these little 3 little Sentinels of Purity, or I think it's 4 little Sentinels of Purity, little minions that will follow around and help. So, not the biggest deal, it definitely helps. The minions don't do a ton of damage, but what they do is they distract enemies. So they almost take the aggro off of you, which is nice. But again, that is completely optional. As you can see, I'm not using it, and we're doing perfectly fine. But just throwing that out there is another option that you can do if you have additional red gem sockets open. And the mana to play with, obviously. Alright, let's see. Just leveled up again. So now we're actually going to come into these life nodes. This is going to give us some more life and armor, and then we're going to grab Art of the Gladiator eventually over here, which is going to give us the ability to ignore movement speed penalties from our armor, so it's going to make us slightly faster. And then it's also going to give us more attack speed and dexterity, which is always nice. So we're definitely going to grab these nodes. We obviously always want life where we can grab it. Okay, so again, we see that this is deviating, but there's another exit that we can take in this zone, so we want to look for that exit to take us directly to the next Aspirant's Trial. Looks like there it is, hopefully. Sepulchral Halls. Yep. So that appears to be correct. Again, I'm going to continue to hug the right side of the wall. Just creating slowly creating that perimeter around the zone. Hopefully find the next exit. Doesn't look like it's gonna be that way. There's more little rooms in here too that you can clear out as well for additional bonuses, but we're not gonna worry about that. There's Aspirant's Trial, so here's our second one, and then we'll have one more after this to finish the labyrinth. I don't think I've gone over a lot of what Azaro does. He actually changes regularly, so right now he has that mace in his hand. He can have different weapons. Anytime he has the mace, be just careful of that slam right there. So he does a leaping slam and then that stationary slam. Those will hit you quite hard. I think you've seen in the last phase of this fight, I actually tanked it, and it did about half of my health. So if you've built your character closely to how we've been building it so far, you should be able to tank one of those hits, but obviously, better safe than sorry to avoid it where you can. Oh, this serious nasty. Alright, so let's find this last area so we can get our second Ascendancy. Strong boxes are pretty nice early on too, if you want to crack one of those open and kill what's in it. Sometimes you can get some pretty decent drops. Sepulchral Halls. So this one I don't believe, so you can see here, it doesn't look like there's a direct line going to the next stage. But in any case, I'm going to show you what it's like to take one off the beaten path. So obviously it's just going to take you to another area. This one will give you a silver key, which allows you to open a silver chest, which has some loot in it. The silver door here, you see. But again, we're not going to worry about that. We're just using this as a... What was that? Oh, another Chaos Orb. Nice. We're just using it as a pathway to get to the trial, which should be right here. Yep, Aspirant's Trial.
An aspirant can afford to be promised. An emperor must keep. Our throne is the most.
So tons of traps you can see here. Pretty tight area unless you want to constantly be getting hit by the spikes or the saw blades. But again, we're gonna make pretty short work of it. Warcry, stay out of his attacks. So you jump away from it like that. Keep slamming him. And he's done. Chaos Orb, we'll grab those. Ascendancy Chamber. So for this one, we're actually looking for the quality that you see here, and we're actually going to take Earth Shatter out and put the quality on Earth Shatter. That's because if you hold Alt over Earth Shatter, the additional effects from quality, it actually gives 0 to 3 additional maximum spikes and then creates an additional fissure. So once we actually switch to Earth Shatter, I'll explain more of why that's important, but we absolutely want that that quality. We want to get that up to 20 quality. Head over to the Altar of Ascendancy. All right, so now the next points, there's a couple different things that you could put for your next point. Untiring is definitely one we're going to want to grab eventually. So 40% increased life regeneration rate, 1.5% of physical damage prevented from hits in the past 10 seconds is regenerated as life per second. So the more we're getting hit, the more regen we're getting. That's very nice sustain. Unbreakable is also very good. So armor from equipped body armor is doubled. So we can actually get in the end game an armor piece that has anywhere from 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 armor on it. So doubling that armor is massive for us. And then also 15% of that armor also applies to chaos damage. So there's not a lot of forms of chaos mitigation, especially for the Juggernaut and the Marauder side of the tree. So this is a really nice node. The other two nodes that are really nice is going to be Unyielding and Unrelenting. Obviously, we can only pick 3 additional ones, so we're not going to be able to pick one of these. Unyielding basically gives us an additional 1% additional elemental and physical damage reduction per endurance charge. That's pretty significant. And then this one, which is Unyielding, which is ultimately the one we're going to end up going with, it's going to give us 8% increased damage per endurance charge we have. It's going to give us 6% increased area of effect per endurance charge, and then 25% chance to gain endurance charge when you stun an enemy. So every slam we do has the ability to stun enemies. We already have the chance to get endurance charges by being hit thanks to Unflinching, which we took in our initial lab. And this is also going to give us another avenue of gaining those endurance charges. We're also eventually going to come down here and pick up Disciple of Unyielding, which is going to give us even another way to generate endurance charges. So we should never not have endurance charges. Right now we have a maximum of 4, and if you look on our skill tree here, we have a way of getting another endurance charge here. And if we come up here, we also have another way of getting another endurance charge here for a total of 6 endurance charges. So there's a couple other ways too. There's another one over here for Vigor. So that's 7 endurance charges total. So that's 7 endurance charges times 8% per each of those endurance charges. So this is going to be a massive increase to our damage in our area of effect. So we're definitely going to go with Unyielding for right now. That's going to be a massive damage boost to us. So basically, as we get more endurance charges, which make us tankier, those endurance charges are also going to make us do more damage as well. So we're really getting the best of both worlds there. We're going to sell these.
Watch yourself.
All right, from here we are going to roll over to the Toxic Conduits to start Act 8. I'll typically go up top here when you have the choice of going each way. So you can see now we're getting that extra area of effect and damage from the endurance charges that we have, and you can already see that. Actually, Flesh and Stone just dropped, and that is something that we're probably going to use later, so we'll grab that. That's actually a cool drop to get, that way we don't gotta buy it. It's not a big deal, but nice either way. Now that's an Abyssal Axe. That might actually be a potential axe upgrade for us. So we're definitely going to grab that. This area we do want to be careful of, just because many of the mobs in this area do chaos damage. And as we've already explained, we don't have a ton of resistance to that type of damage set. So be cognizant of that as you're rolling through here. This zone is pretty chock full of enemies, though. It's pretty dense. So feel free to kill some more in here if you're under-leveled. I go in here to Doedre's cesspool. And at this point, we're just looking to fight Doedre. Another Chaos Orb, nice. That doesn't do as much for us in solo Self-Found as it would in trade. However, there are some crafting recipe uses for those Chaos Orbs, like I mentioned before, that we'll definitely make use of. Right, so at this point, we're just trying to find that boss arena. Pick up any additional gear and currency that we can along the way. Looks like it should be up around here somewhere. Yep, there it is. There's the entrance to the boss arena. Cauldron, we got a skill point, so we will go ahead and throw that skill point into Bravery, which is going to give us a big chunk of life and some additional armor. So our armor isn't too crazy right now, but we're going to start working on that shortly as we get some better gear moving into more of Act 8 and then into Act 9 and 10. This is Doedre. So we've already fought her in Act 4. We're going to fight her again here. She's going to curse you with different things on the floor as you fight her, but we've already taken her out. So, again, pretty easy boss. Crafting recipe right here, and then I usually go to the south rather than the north first. It's completely up to you which way you go. This is just the typical route that I'll take. And then for the Grand Promenade, I will, again, usually go south and then over to the right, hug the wall. We're not going to engage with any of the League mechanics right now just to save on time. And there's not going to be that big of a, or really any kind of issue with us doing that. It's not going to set us back in any way. We are going to pick up that armor scrap, though. Keep moving. Kill any blues that we get. Let's pick up that Jeweler's Orb. Alright, so it looks like we hit a dead end there. Let's see if it's over here. Again, we're just looping around. Just trying to make it to the next zone every time as fast as we possibly can. Proximity bubbles are always a pain. You have to actually be in the bubble in order to do damage to them. For us, that's not too bad of an issue because we're usually up in their face anyways, but Sunder is more of a range type of melee attack, so it does create a pain, but nevertheless we will persevere as you see. Okay, looks like we've got our exit there, so let's loop around here real quick and get over there to the bathhouse. So a couple different things we want to do here. There is the waypoint that we just grabbed there. There is a trial of Ascendancy in this zone for our third trial. So we definitely want to grab that. We're going to fight this mini-boss right here, Hector. He's pretty sturdy. You're right there. So, okay, he dropped our first map, which is nice. That's not always guaranteed, but nice to get it this early. I always kill him. It's not required that you kill him. Like he doesn't. It's not going to give you a skill point or anything. But you have to come through this area anyway. So I usually just do. In search of. Actually, this is new. I haven't seen this before. Oh, nice. So this is one of the little things they added in the last batch. That's kind of cool. So we're actually looking for this over here. the high gardens. So we're going into this side zone because there is a boss at the end of this side zone that, you guessed it, gives you a skill point that we want. We don't actually need this essence. I don't know why I clicked on it. Kill him anyways. So this zone is just a big loop, actually. So it's kind of like a snaking loop. You're just gonna keep following it. It's pretty hard not to go the right way. Actually, it's almost impossible as long as you're moving forward. Wow, another Chaos Sword. Well, I gotta keep this luck when actual League Start happens. One of the other things that we could potentially have by now as well is Fortification. It's going to give us extra defenses. As you can see it, we don't actually need it, but if you are struggling, there is a Fortified Gem that you can swap out Pulverize for in your 4-link setup. And then there's also Fortify nodes on the tree that we will eventually get. But a couple different ways to grab Fortify, and that will help your survivability if you are struggling to stay alive. So the Pools of Terror, we're going to fight Yugal. Let's allocate this point real quick for that additional health. Yugal's a bit nasty because he does a ton of damage over time. And he's going to phase twice. Basically create copies of himself like you can see here. Kill those copies to draw the real one out again. Slam him a handful of times until he phases again. He's going to summon the copies once more, kill the copies, and then the real one will come out again. The ideal is him chasing you like this, because then you can just hit behind you, and just like that, he's done. Exit to character selection. Select your character again. Talk to Maramoa. Nothing there. Talk to Hargan. He's going to give you a ring option. So this one is actually giving us fire and lightning resistance. So let's grab the fire and lightning resistance ring. And he's also going to give you the skill book for killing Yugal, as well as a gem. I think this gem is what is given to you for killing that Hector guy. So always nice. For our character, anytime we're working with a strength-based character, or one that's more melee focused, we want to get a Crimson or a Viridian Jewel. I would always go with Crimson Jewels because they can also roll percent life. We'll use Clarissa to identify everything. We're going to hold on to this axe, actually. So the cold damage is not ideal. Let's sell this. This one is also not ideal. We're going to sell that. Not a great jewel either, unfortunately. So no worries. Grab the skill book, and then I will talk about the map here that we got, because that's an absolutely integral item for the end game. But first, let's see if we can do something with this. Or you know what? Is there a better axe that Hargan is selling? That one's already magic, unfortunately. Doesn't look like it. Faustus is up here. Let's see if Faustus, we can gamble something with Faustus here.
Could do worse, Exile.
Nothing crazy there. Wow, ton of elemental damage and attack speed on that one. That's crazy. That's what I'm talking about. So look at right there, 218 to 370, 134% increased physical damage with another added 19 to 35 physical damage. Added 13 to 231 lightning damage and 13% attack speed. That's a killer axe. And it's already set. It's a 4-link, so that is solid. This is why I like gambling at this stage in the game, because it's just way more efficient. You're going to get some really good items there. So this one is basically good to go. We do need to color one of these green. Okay, that's actually too many now. Actually, no, it's not, because I can put Herald of Ash right there and Seismic Cry right here. Throw this guy in here. All right, so right now our Sunder is doing 16,622 damage. Yeah, it's doing 30,000, 32 damage, so it almost literally doubled our damage there. So massive increase, absolutely massive increase. And we actually gained dexterity from that, which is nice. So we'll throw that in here. All right, so real quickly, I'm going to briefly go over this map that we just dropped. So you heard me talk about maps a couple times in the playthrough so far. Maps are basically the end game. So you see this is a map tier 1. It goes all the way from tier 1 to tier 16. These will drop early in the campaign, starting around this time, around Act 8. There's nothing you can do with them currently, so just throw them in your stash for right now. But we will be using those in the end game. That's basically the end game system, is your mapping system. And then for our point, we're gonna grab Art of the Gladiator, get that attack speed and that dexterity, as well as the movement penalty ignore. We're gonna go back to the bathhouse, and like I mentioned, we are going to want to find the next zone as well as that Trial of Ascendancy that is within this zone. So let's look for both of those. Should be in any of the areas that we haven't already explored. Okay, I see a lever there. Looks like our trial is going to be over this way. Yep, here we go. Alright, so in this one, we have to hit the levers here to open up the doors. You do actually have to hit all of the levers in this area, so they are not tricks like they were in some of the other zones. I actually missed one over here. The fire on the ground does hurt you, but with our defenses, it could really be insignificant. I'm one-shotting everything, and I actually still forgot to put Herald of Ash on if that showed you anything, as far as our damage goes. Okay. Grab the Trial of Ascendancy. So you can see this is the third trial. We're going to have 2 more. There's going to be 1 in Act 9 as well as 1 in Act 10. So there's no more of those that we have to worry about for the rest of Act 8. Alright, so now we just want to find the exit from this zone to the next. Which looks like it's right there. Okay. We're going to go to the Lunaris Concourse. We just go forward up to these stairs, you should find the waypoint, and then just go directly north. Again, nothing in this zone you have to worry about. No additional skill points, no side quests, anything like that. So feel free to skip everything in here and just go to the next zone, or stop to kill some monsters like I am to level. There's this unique boss here. You don't have to defeat him. He doesn't award anything, but he's there. This is a heads up, so don't feel like you have to fight him, because he doesn't actually give you any type of reward. Lunaris Temple level 1, that's what we're looking for. So, the same as in Act 3, there's going to be the Lunaris and Solaris Temple. You're going to want to go into each of them, and at the end of each of them, you're going to get an orb. You're going to fight a mini-boss that has an orb that we need to fight the Act 8 bosses. So I did say bosses because there is actually 2 of them for Act 8. But these zones are very similar to the same zones that we fought through in Act 3. And many of the same tips I gave you for the Act 3 zones also apply to the Act 8 versions that we're currently playing through. So we'll over some of those same tips here. Again, with this one, I consistently stick to the right side. Many people say follow the carpets. What you see here, the blue carpet, I don't find that helpful personally. I just typically stick to one side and use that perimeter strategy that we've been using. Okay. Lunaris Temple level 2. So the same as in Act 3, once you go down this first time, every other time you find stairs, they should be going up. If they're not going up, then you know you're going in the wrong way. Or wrong direction, rather. These guys can be dangerous because they're projectiles. Just be cautious. So here the stairs are going up, so I know this is the right way. So let's find our next set of stairs going up. Strongbox, we're not going to mess with that. Stairs are going up, so I know it's the right way. It's a dead end. Essence over there. This might actually be the right way as well. Stairs are going up. And then same as in Act 3, when you got to Act 3, there were some carts here. And I said, go to the one that only has the one cart. Here, you're going to have these plants here. You're going to want to go the way that only has the one plant. So same type of tip, just different, terrain. Same type of cells here. Again, just walk the perimeter until you find a big gate, just like in Act 3. And then once you find that big gate, you know you're going the right way. Boom, there's the door, or the gate that I was talking about. Keep moving forward. There is usually always a blue pack up here at the top of the stairs that we just annihilated. Over your gems, and then here's that mini-boss I was talking about. This one is Dusk, Harbinger of Lunaris, so we want to kill him. Killing him will not always do that, but it will drop that moon orb there that we want. Grab the crafting recipe, exit to character selection. Let's go back into our character. We did get a skill point here. Alright, so we have picked up these guys over here. There's nothing else that we really want over on this area. Mastery rise. There's no other masteries that we typically want right now. So we are going to start actually making our way over here. So we can grab this extra endurance charge. There's some more life nodes with regen over here from Golem's blood. These are pretty nice elemental resistances and armor nodes here. And then also we want to capitalize on these charge nodes down here. So quite a bit of things we want over here. So we're going to start slowly making our way across just like this. We don't really have anything in our inventory, so nothing to check there. So now we are actually going to go back to the toxic conduits, so that middle part, and instead of going south this time, we're going to go north to find the other zones that we need to go to. We're going to go to the Quay. So the Quay, we're actually going to want to go south. And then again, just like in we've been doing, stick to the border, and we're looking for a little piece that breaks off into a bridge, just like this. So once you see that little bridge, usually you'll find the exclamation point right after you get close to that bridge. We want this this quest item here, this Ankh of Eternity. That's because we're going to continue going south here towards the side, looking for a side area. And we're going to use that Ankh to do a side quest, which will give us another skill point. So you'll know you're on the right track because the side area we're looking for will have a wall stopping you from going forward. I'll point it out as soon as I see it so you guys know. So right here, this wall right here where there's this tiny little entrance, that's what I'm looking for. And then we're looking for the resurrection site. Calorsis is here. We're going to talk to her. It's going to start basically this this summoning circle kill. This is timed. I don't know exactly how much time you're going to have to wait. But basically, you're just going to kill enemies as they spawn. Eventually, it powers up this guy, the mini-boss, and then you're going to fight and kill the mini-boss to basically complete the quest. But it's only going to spawn these zombies, which you should be able to easily dispatch at this point with little to no effort. Okay, so he's ready to go. And just like that, the boss is dead in one hit. Instead of exiting, we're actually going to go back through the Quay, and we're going to backtrack just a little bit. It's actually a bit quicker to do it this way. And now we're actually going to go northbound to get to the next zone. Should be the grain gate, if I'm not mistaken. Ah, get a little trip up over here. Where are we going? Maybe it's actually down this way. I'm not looking at the map. There we go. There is the exit. The grain gate. Now in this zone, there is a bit of a tell to know you're going to the right location. You can see there's a lot of these little hubs and little storage rooms on the sides that aren't necessarily where you're supposed to be going. But if you come over here, there should always be like this, a dead body or dead body parts outside of the correct location you're supposed to be going. So that's your dead giveaway that you're in the right. See right here, there's a dead body out here. It tells me I'm going in the right location. There is a group of enemies towards the end of the zone that we are going to be looking out for because, again, they will award us a skill point when we kill them. Called the Gemling Legionnaires. Orb of Regret, we are definitely going to take that. That orb, basically, you consume that orb to give you a respec point. It allows you to unselect certain passive skill tree points that you've already selected. It's a Val side zone, we don't care about that. Looks like this is just going to loop around, so there's... Looks like there's an outlet over here. Grab those orbs of augmentation. Massive pack there. Grab that alchemy orb. Looks like this one's a dead end as well, unfortunately. Alright, so for this point, we're going to keep coming over here, and then we're actually going to come up and grab Golem's blood real quick, and then go for those charge nodes. I think that's the order we're going to do it in. Try and find wherever the end happens to be over. Alright, so right here, we know this is the correct one because there's a body out here. That tells us we're on the right track. As soon as you see this book over here, you know you're right outside the Gemling Legionnaires. It's these guys you're looking for right here. You'll make quick work of them. They're done. Body, so we know this is the correct way. And then there is our exit that we're looking for. To the Imperial Fields. The Imperial Fields is just a pass-through zone. There's nothing in here that we're looking for. You're just going to follow this road. Grab the waypoint. And then usually I go just straight north. Just go basically northwest. And it will usually get you to the end of the zone where you need to go. As soon as you start seeing these fancy tiles, you know you're in the right place. And we've got to the Solaris Temple. And just like that, we're actually almost done with Act 8 as well. Again, same as in Act 3, follow the carpet. The red carpet on the floor to show you where you're going the right direction. You do want to be careful in here because you might actually go backwards to the Solaris Concourse, which is another way you can get to this location. I've done that a handful of times, so just be cognizant of that. We don't want to go to the Solaris Concourse. We want to go forward to the Solaris Temple level 2. Which hopefully is right here. Yep, Solaris Temple level 2. We'll roll in there. Forget to level your gems. And then same thing here, we're just going to look to fight the mini-boss so we can get that sun orb that we need to fight the final boss of the act and move on. Looks like this is going to be the right way. Here, follow the carpet. Earth Shatter's already level up. Excellent. It's actually this way. Okay, there we go. We found it. Over here to the portal. Kill Dawn, Harbinger of Solaris. He's done. Grab the Sun Orb, grab the crafting recipe, exit character selection. Go back to town. We're actually going to come over here and talk to Clarissa. She's going to give us that skill book for doing that ritual circle. Dr. Maramoa. She's going to give us the skill book for killing the Gemling Legionnaires. And now we have 2 additional points. So we're going to come up here, like I said, to grab this life node and then the Golem's Blood. So that's going to give us a decent amount of life. And then we are rocking a little tiny amount of regen. 134 life regen per second. And then we're also going to get some leech from our Blood Rage, but everything helps. So now at this point, we're actually going to go back to the Lunaris Concourse. And instead of going forward, we're actually going to go down south. Because down here is where we are going to get to the Harbor Bridge, which is the zone we need to access in order to fight the Act Boss. So, about to finish Act 8 here. Then we will only have 2 more acts to go, both of which are pretty quick. Okay, so we are averaging about 1 level above the posted zone level, so pretty good. If you are a couple more levels above, there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. Okay, Sky Shrine. Put the orbs there, and now we're going to fight Solaris and Lunaris. Who are going to be 2 additional major pantheons that we can use, should we choose. These guys are going to split up and fight you separately. Sometimes they will fight you together. But they will eventually both phase. And then you'll eventually kill both of them. Again, Solaris is pretty dangerous with that fire that she'll leave on the ground, so just be careful. Lunaris, as you can see, is kind of a pushover. But just be careful of Solaris's fire. Just like that, they're both gone. And we move on to the Blood Aqueduct, which is the transitionary zone between Act 8 and Act 9. So same thing when we finish Act 3 going to Act 4. The Blood Aqueduct is the same. You're just going to move up this this side. Kill enemies as you can. Just keep going straight. We're going to skip that breach. Killing them. We're just going to go all the way to the end so we can get to the town and continue forward with the axe. You can see at this point we literally have no issues with damage. Our damage is more than enough to deal with anything we're fighting. Wow, a lot of Portal Scrolls and Wisdom Scrolls. We'll definitely take those. Nice. Some more currency. Always grab that. These mobs pretty routinely use moves that hit you with corrupted blood. It's pretty nasty, so just pay attention to that, but other than that, you'll be fine. Just like that, we're in Highgate, so we will start Act 9 here. Grab our skill point. We're actually going to come over here and grab this dexterity node, and then I think what we're going to do is we're going to grab Vigor for the endurance charge. Because that's going to increase our defenses and our damage now that we have that Ascendancy node. And then we're going to come down here to Disciple of Unyielding. This is going to give us a minimum endurance charge, meaning that we're always going to have it no matter what. It's going to give us an 8% chance to gain an endurance charge on kill, and then it's actually going to give us 8% increased damage per endurance charge, so even more damage just for stacking endurance charges. So you can see at this point we're kind of stacking those endurance charges for a multi-use purpose. They're going to not only protect us, but also amplify our damage. I picked up this helmet because it is pure armor base, and it's also already 4-linked, so we can actually throw an essence on that and see what we get. We actually don't really have any decent essences that would make sense to put on here. This one, I guess, is fire resistance. So that's okay. We already have lightning and cold on this. This has a suffix. But there's a massive chunk of lightning on here, and this has no life. That's a massive amount of armor, though. So let's actually see what this would leave us with if we switched it. So we're actually still capped. I would want to put some fire res on this, but it already, I think, has the fire on it. It does. So that kind of sucks. I think we'll roll with it, though, because we can craft some life on that. And that's a massive amount of additional armor for us. So that's definitely going to help. So let's throw this in our stash. Let's go back to our hideout. Let's craft some life on this guy. Will we do the higher crafted life? Pretty good. And then I think the next thing we're gonna want to gamble. We got quite a bit of gold here. We're gonna probably want to gamble chess pieces. I think it's Tsuni over here that actually is the gambler. No, it's not actually. I don't know who's the gambler in here. In any case, we'll gamble for chess pieces next because our chess piece is pretty old at this point, and we actually want to start trying to get a 5-link. So right now we're rolling on a 4-link. 5 links should be droppable at this point. So we definitely want to start working on getting a 5-link because that will also increase our damage even more. So we're going to hit the supply host here. So the descent zone, there's just a couple of different versions of the zone like this. They're very short instances. Again, you're just going to want to hug the corners and move towards the top. So we're getting frozen there. There is an Ascendancy node that we're probably going to pick up in the Juggernaut tree. It actually makes it so it's impossible for us to get frozen. We'll have to make that decision later on, though, if we actually want to waste one of our Ascendancy nodes just for that. I think we'll actually keep the Brine King Pantheon. That way we don't have to waste the Ascendancy node on that. So other than that, it doesn't do a whole lot for us. Oh, something just dropped. You hear that noise from our loot filter. Or with chance. Grab those. And then we hit the Vestiri Desert. So a couple different things we want to do in this zone. Again, same exact methodology. Pick a side and hug it. Now, I said I wasn't going to go over any of the League mechanics, but I'm going to make an exception for this one, which is Betrayal. And it's these little green icons you see on the map. So Betrayal is a very complicated mechanic. However, the only thing we're going to be using it for is killing these mini-bosses. When you kill these guys eventually, go ahead and click on them, and you're going to see this massive board. Don't worry about this. I'm not going to go in depth on this. It's a lot to take in. All I want you guys to do is bargain or execute these guys. So bargain. They're usually going to drop some items. Sometimes there's going to be a veiled item, which I'll go over if we get one of those. But whenever you do anything with those guys, they give you a massive chunk of experience, and that's mainly what we're going to use them for, is getting that massive chunk of experience. So there is a crafting recipe here right next to the waypoint. As you can see, we're going to want to grab that along with the waypoint. We are going to also want to come over here and do the Stormweather chest to basically get the Stormblade. Grab these pieces of gear. So this is kind of just like another timed kill event. It's going to summon a bunch of these mummy-looking guys. You're going to kill them until it summons 4 big mummy dudes. You're going to kill 4 big mummy dudes. And then it's eventually going to drop the quest item for you. Grab the Stormblade. We're going to use that for something here shortly. So that's the foothills. That's the next zone we want to go to. However, there's one other thing we want to do real quick while we're in this zone so we can knock out everything at once. hug this wall again. We're just gonna keep completing this perimeter, and there's one other zone we're looking for that is a connecting zone that we want to find before we go to the next. Right here, this little bridge right here. It's gonna be a sandstorm. You're not gonna be able to pass it. That's exactly what we're looking for. Let's use this skill point. So like I said, we're gonna come up here. We're gonna grab this additional endurance charge over here. Okay, now we're gonna go to the foothills. In the foothills, we're going to go up this incline, and then we're just going to hug the right side over here. We are going to roll over here to the waypoint, and then right from the waypoint north will be the Boiling Lake. We're going to go right into the Boiling Lake. And then in the Boiling Lake, we are actually going to bum rush to the very end, because the only thing we need in this zone is to kill the unique boss at the very end that is going to drop another quest item that we need. So everything else in here is kind of irrelevant to us. We could care less about it. I think this is the right way. No, we gotta go over here. Trip me up a little bit. As soon as you start seeing these statues, you know you're close to it. This is the Basilisk. This is the end boss. This guy you do got to be careful of. It does not matter if you have anything that says you cannot be frozen or anything like that. That little stare he's doing right now. If you stand in his gaze, he will petrify you and you will not be able to move. Grab the Basilisk Acid, grab the crafting recipe, exit the character selection. Okay. Done there. We're going to want to talk to Sin, actually, because he's going to allow these guys to give us something. So let's grab this axe, see if that's any better than the one we have. And you must talk to Sin first, otherwise these guys will not offer you this bottled storm. This is what we're going to use to clear out that desert you've seen in that extra area we went to. Okay, we're going to identify all items. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. So this belt, wow, it's kind of crazy. 100 life, 105 life, 126 armor, 11 strength. It has cold res. Does it have a suffix? It has a suffix open as well. So this is actually better than ours, because ours is only giving us 71 life total, and this is more with some additional resistance and armor. So we're definitely going to want to take that belt. This axe is not anywhere close to as good as ours. Ours is significantly better, so we're going to get rid of that guy.
See ya.
We're going to drop all this stuff in our inventory. And then we're actually going to craft some lightning, actually. Yeah, we're going to craft some lightning on that guy. So, roll to our hideout real quick. Throw this belt on. Craft some lightning resistance. Again, we're just using the original one. It's going to give us a bit more life, and now our resistances are good. So now we're actually going to go back to the Vistiri Desert. And then that same area with the desert cloud over it, we're going to want to go back there, because now we can get in there, that we have the bottled storm. So we're going to go into the Oasis. Once in the Oasis, we're going to use the same type of methodology that we've been using. Hug the walls. Create a perimeter around the map to find your next location. There's nothing else in this zone that we're looking for outside of just getting to the next zone exit. So there's no quest or side anything. Oop. We just heard a ding on our loot filter. What do we get over here? Chromatic orbs. Yep. Grab those. We'll grab that recipe for the Noble Claw as well. That Noble Claw was... So we're looking for Sandpit. That's what we're looking for. And you're going to fight Shikari, which is the boss in this zone. There's a couple phasings that she's going to go through. But ultimately we're killing this boss because she does give a skill point. So you're going to walk through these desert areas. She's going to pop out a couple times as you go throughout this path. Unfortunately, you can't skip these, so just go low and slow and follow her. Try and stay away from these circling deserts, circling sand pits here. They will actually slow you, which is never good. But these scorpions are going to constantly spawn as you're chasing her down this path. Just keep killing them to keep your charges up. And also refill your flasks. So as you can see, she'll pop out, hit once, move to the next area. Even when she's hitting us, it's really not hurting us. You can see right now I'm getting slowed massively. And then once you get to the end, you find this, the Swallowing Sands. We're going to come in here, and then we're going to fight her again. So she is always going to phase at least once, unfortunately. When she does this, again, just try and stay out of the sand. She's going to summon a ton of these little scorpion guys to chase after you. Kill them. Okay, she's rephased. And just like that, she's done. Okay, exit the character selection.
Worm 9.
Okay, we're going to go over to Arasha. She's going to give us a skill point for killing that boss. And then we're going to sell these off. Use that skill point. So right here, we're going to grab this node, so increase the endurance charge duration. That's always useful. And then our next node is going to go into Vigor, which is going to give us an additional endurance charge. That's going to bump us up to 5. Okay. From here, actually, before we move forward, let's move around our gems a bit. So we're actually going to see... Let's see if I can get this to be... So... What I want to do is I want to start using this overexertion support along with auto exertion. So let's quickly go back to our hideout. Let's make some quick adjustments here before we keep moving on, because again, we're actually almost halfway through this act as well, believe it or not. So let's see if we can get some better body armors.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
So that's decent. Yeah, he's not wrong. It's decent. That's ones. Those are not great. Okay, that's pretty good. Does it have a suffix? No, it doesn't have a suffix. That sucks. So we are going to lose cold resistance. So can I afford to lose 24% cold resistance? I can, actually. So we're actually going to roll with this. It's not a 4-link, unfortunately, but it's at least a 3-link that I can use. We're also going to get rid of Herald of Ash over here. Put Pride over here. We're actually going to start using... Actually, how do I want to do this? Let's put this axe back real quick. That way I'm not an idiot and sell it by accident. So that one's our go-to at the moment. Let's get rid of these. Let's try this a couple more times before we move on with that body armor. It's 5 sockets, but they're not linked, unfortunately. That's nice, too. Yeah, unfortunately, none of these are going to hold a candle to what that one. Yeah, we're going to toss those. So I think this is going to be our go-to. Alright, so let's do Auto Exertion along with General's Cry and Infernal Cry for right now. And then in our 4-link, let's take out Pulverize support and throw in Overexertion. So that should do more for us there. And then in this axe, so this Cry can go back over here for leveling. Pulverize can go over here for leveling, because we are eventually going to want to use Pulverize again once we get a 5-link. And then this axe, we want to try and get at least 2 red on this. That works. Let's throw that in there. So we're going to get these out of here, get that out of there. So we're going to Put Seismic Cry back in there. We're going to get rid of this. Put Herald of Ash here. We're going to put Auto Exertion right there, and then Pride here. Okay, let's make sure we can run this. Alright, so that's tight, but we'll do that for now. So, Auto Exertion, what this is going to do is it's now going to Auto Exert Infernal Cry and General's Cry, so I don't have to click them, and then we are going to manually use Seismic Cry. And then for every, you can see here on Overexertion support, supported attacks deal 8% more damage for each War Cry exerting them. Supported attacks deal 12% more damage if exerted. So that's going to give us a ton of extra damage. Depending on how many War Cries are actually affecting our slam at the moment. Which is, as you can see, a ton. So let's go back to the foothills. From here, we're actually going to go out and just try and find the next zone. Now, there is a mini-boss, this guy actually, Boulderback, that you can kill. It's not necessary. They're basically just going to give you a gear reward. I would recommend not killing him unless you run into him like that, then go ahead. But the gear reward is not worth the time it's going to take you to chase after him or find him in the zone, again, unless you just happen to run into him like I just did. We're going to go forward to the tunnel. Now, in here in the tunnel, there is going to be a Trial of Ascendancy that we're going to need to grab. Trick here, so we can actually already see it on our map, but the Trial of Ascendancy is typically always before the waypoint. So if you've gotten to the waypoint and have not found the Trial of Ascendancy yet, that is your sign to go back and look for the Trial of Ascendancy. This guy's tanky, wow. Just grab this. There's basically just a bunch of saw blades in this one. You can skip past all of them. We have enough regeneration and defenses to where it's not going to matter. Grab the crafting recipe like always. Grab the trial. Out. And we're good. So now the last trial that we need is actually going to be in Act 10. So we can do our third ascension. As you can see, we're in a really good spot now. The build has really come together. We're kind of just slamming our way through everything. We got a decent amount of attack speed that makes the build feel good. We've got a good amount of defenses. We're about to get another endurance charge to push us up to 5, which is going to give us more defenses on top of more damage. And then we're going to get even more damage from those endurance charges once we get the Disciple of Unyielding mode. Actually, I want to grab that Divine Life Flask, because that is a step above what I'm currently using. Okay, we're going to go to the quarry. Now, there's 2 different side zones in the quarry that we're going to go to, that we need to go to for both skill points and quest rewards. I like to grab the waypoint right there, which is usually always in the middle of the zone, and then immediately go to the left. Usually you can find one of them simply on the left side or by running up the left side. There's the zone that we need to get into, so the refinery. So this is where we're going to get the Trothan Powder, which is the quest reward that we need. Got that skill point. So there we go. There's Vigor. So now we have 5 endurance charges, so we are tankier now, on top of dealing more damage naturally because of the different nodes that we've selected. Ooh, we missed that one. Keep leveling up our gems. And this, there's nothing else in this zone that you really need to look out for other than the unique boss at the end. So as we come through here, we're just looking for this little slit right here, which tells you that you're at the boss. I'm gonna fight General Adis. This guy typically gives most people some trouble the first time you fight him because he is pretty tanky. But again, with our setup, as you can see there, I mean, he's even chunking me with the way we're built. With your setup, you should be able to take care of him pretty reasonably. But if you die, no worries. Grab the froth and powder, exit to the character screen. Okay. Talk to Sin. Talk to these guys, they'll give you a Book of Regrets. So it's actually a passive skill book is what Boulderback gives you. So again, not the biggest deal. If you want to grab it, then go ahead, but it's not game breaking if you don't grab it. We're going to go back to the quarry, and this time instead of going to the left, we're actually going to go to the right. And we're looking for another zone, which is going to give us, we're just going to have us kill a boss to give us a skill point. So the Shrine of the Winds. Let's actually get Einar's help in here if he's going to help us. Oh, that's why my bar seemed off. Put this here, put this here. I haven't been using Blood Rage. That's why it feels weird. That's why I also haven't had any endurance charges. So we're just going to fight Garrokan here. She's not hard. Again, there's going to be a couple phases here, but if you just keep slamming the general area that she's in, you're not going to have any trouble. You can see I'm chunking her health pretty significantly here. If the tornadoes get too much in the area you're in, just move to the area that the tornadoes aren't. You can see her image right there. Boom, this should be the last one, and she's done. Grab the Sekima Feather, and then you're good. Exit the character selection. Go back to town. Talk to Arasha. She's going to give you a skill book. Okay. And then from here, we want to start coming down here and grabbing these nodes. Each of these nodes are actually super impactful. So you've got the first node, which is going to give you 5% increased armor per endurance charge. This node's going to give you 5% increased stun duration on enemies, which isn't too crazy for us. That's neither here nor there. But we need it to get to here. 3% increased area of effect, which is very nice. And then, of course, this node, which is going to give us the damage, the chance to gain, and the minimum. So these nodes are actually pretty impactful for us. So we're going to start grabbing those. And then we are going to go back to the quarry one last time. This time we're actually going to talk to Sin. He's going to open this gateway here. It's going to allow us into the belly of the beast. And we have this zone and a handful more to go through, and then we're actually going to be done with Act 9 and moving on to Act 10. So, nice. Another map. We're definitely going to need tons of those, so any of those that you can get early on are always nice. Temporal shield always sucks, slows you down. We're gonna take these guys out, no problem. This zone is also kind of maze-like, unfortunately. It's a bit of a pain, but use the same tactics we've been using and you'll be fine. There is this guy that's always here. You can kill him. Really, there's nothing you get from it. And in this zone, there's also no other side quests, so we're done with the side quest for this act. So basically, at this point, we're just looking to zoom through these zones as fast as humanly possible to get to the end of the act. Looks like I just went in a loop there, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So that means our exit is probably over on this side. So you can see I'm my life is draining there because we're getting hit with the bleed. We can actually craft bleed immunity on our nice Crimson Jewel on our health flasks. So our life flask rather. So I don't think I've talked about crafting on the flasks yet, but that's definitely something you can do and something you will want to do. Your flasks are actually very strong pieces of gear that I feel a lot of newer players overlook. So there's a lot of neat things that you can craft on your flasks that are absolutely helpful. So this is another breach. Again, I'm not going to worry about it right over here to the Black Core. We're going to talk to Sin, and he's basically going to open 3 of these small side zones. We're going to go into each of them and kill the same bosses we killed in Act 4 again. And that's ultimately going to open up to allow us to fight the final boss of Act 8. Alright, that guy's tanky. I'm not going to worry about him. It's not worth sitting there and killing him. Cool. Shabran's area. So we're going to fight Shabran again. Wow. A lot of lightning. Okay, she's done. Click the portal, it takes you back to the core. We'll go to the next side zone. And as you can see, most of these side zones are basically just straight up and down. Wrath, we'll take that. That's a lightning essence. That might help. So again, we're just gonna keep making our way to the back of this zone. Looking for... Oop, something dropped. Orb of Scouring and some Jeweler's Orbs. We'll definitely take those. Some more Jeweler's Orbs, nice. Grab this point. So again, this one's going to give us stun duration. That really doesn't do anything for us. Not a whole lot for us. We do stun enemies, but half the time we're killing them before they have a chance to attack us, unless it's a boss anyways, so the stun duration really doesn't... That's why I say the stun duration really doesn't do anything for us. Keep hitting him, he's done. Down here to the last one. Fight Doedre again. I'm not going to go back for that. I think that was a Jeweler's Orb, but it's okay. We don't have to pick everything up. Again, the goal at this point, especially when you're this far in, your build is really cracking now, is to just get to endgame, so you can start farming endgame. One of the things that you can do too on this is do a mark on hit, actually, and that's something we might actually do. We'll explore here in Act 10 just to change things up a bit. Something like a Warlord's Mark would probably be nice for us. Blackheart, and then we can also throw a Curse in, so Vulnerability to give us even more damage, actually. So the Depraved Trinity is the final boss of Act 9. So you can see it's basically a combination of the 3 bosses we just fought again. It will phase 3 times usually. It'll summon these guys as an adds, and then jump back in. Just keep chunking them, keep Warcrying to exert your attacks. These guys will summon again, and then you'll go right back to killing them. And just like that, they're done. And that is the end of Act 9. So like I said, we'll mess around with some additional gems. We'll see if we have room to put like a mark on hit type of deal in our setup. And then we can also look at putting something like Vulnerability, which is going to be a curse to reduce physical damage, but we'll have to mess around. We've already got some nodes that basically allow us to ignore physical damage reduction, so Vulnerability may not actually help us at all. Holding a shield and burning damage, that's not really useful for us. Damage with axes is useful. Increased ignite and chance to ignite really isn't useful to us, so we'll sell those. We could have crafted on them, but we're not really going to worry about it. Throw all this stuff in our stash. And like I said, we'll go over here to Lily and see and go over some other options you guys can have if you have additional sockets available. So if I type in Mark, there's a couple different marks. So you have Warlord's Mark. So you can see there, cursed enemies grant 2% life leech and 2% mana leech. So definitely helpful. Cursed enemies have 100% chance to grant an endurance charge when slain. So yet another source of generating endurance charges. So I want to touch on that just for a second. So as you can see, we have our Ascendancy node that is allowing us to get endurance charges when we're hit. We are about to get Disciple of Unyielding on our passive tree, which allows us to get endurance charges when we kill enemies. We have Warlord's Mark, which we can use that allows us to generate endurance charges. And then we also have our Enduring Cry, which we've been using basically since Act 1, that will also allow us to generate endurance charges. So this is the case for most things in Path of Exile. In most things in Path of Exile, there are multiple different avenues you can use to get where you're trying to go. It just depends on what you have room for and what's going to be the most optimal for the build that you're playing. So this one also will grant 10 rage when stunned as well. So pretty nice there. Poacher's Mark, so cursed enemies have 100% chance to grant a frenzy charge when slain, and then also some life and mana when hit. Cursed enemies have minus 20% to physical damage reduction, so again, this would help with physical damage reduction, and then adds 3 to 4 physical damage to hits against cursed enemies, so just straight up giving us more damage. Alchemist Mark is more so for fire and chaos, which we're doing none of, so that's really not going to be of any benefit to us. Assassin's Mark grants a power charge, which gives us crit, but again, we're using Resolute Technique, which means that we cannot crit, so this is kind of useless to us, because it's basically nothing but crit. So those are some of the Mark on hits, or Mark skills that you can use. Then let's also go over some of the curse skills. So you have Punishment here, so cursed enemies take 30% increased damage while on low life, which is anything below 50%. And then they are also debilitated. So you can see there, enemies that are debilitated have 20% less movement speed and deal 10% less damage. So you're causing them to take increased damage while you're also causing yourself to take decreased damage. So pretty useful there. And then Vulnerability, which is the one that I mentioned. Cursed enemies take 15% increased physical damage, and attack hits against cursed enemies have a 25% chance to inflict the bleed. We're not scaling bleed damage, so bleed really is insignificant to us, but it does add a bit of extra damage. That 15% increased physical damage, though, is super useful to us, so we'll definitely grab that, and then we'll throw that in our bar here. At this point, I think we're pretty much good to drop Enduring Cry. There really is no use for us to have that anymore. It's not doing a whole lot for us, so we'll take that out. And then we can go ahead and put our Vulnerability over here. I think at this point, too, I don't know if we can make it work with Auto Exertion and Blood and Sand, but at this point it's probably better to switch over to Pride. I'm going to stick with Herald of Ash for right now, but Pride is probably going to be more damage for us at this point. Some other curses that we have here: Temporal Chains, less action speed, again not too crazy. Assassin's Mark, you got Conductivity, Frostbite, and then Flammability, so fire, cold, and lightning. If you're doing specific elemental damages, those are useful. Or you have elemental weakness if you're doing multiple different elements of damage. These will just lower their resistance to those elements respectively. Despair, the same thing for chaos type of damage or poisons. And then Enfeeble, which is going to make them do less damage. So again, useful all around, but we're not going to stick with any of those. If you do choose to go with a mark, so like the Warlord's Mark, or for instance the Poacher's Mark, if you come over here to the supports in green, there's actually something called Mark on Hit. If you link this to whatever mark you decide to do, it'll actually make it to where you don't actually have to self-cast that mark. The mark will be cast on its own. Please keep in mind, though, that marks are also considered curses. So you can see up there it says Spell, Curse, and Mark. You can only have one curse active at a time, unless you have nodes that are allowing you to use multiple curses at once. So, given the fact that we're going to run with Vulnerability, that means that I cannot use Warlord's Mark, and I cannot use Poacher's Mark, so just keep that in mind. That being said, so we're good now. Let's roll into Act 10 and finish up this campaign. So you're going to go to the cathedral rooftop, and then we're immediately going to go north over here to the cathedral apex. We're going to take out these guys and save Bannon here. So this guy right here, Plague Wing, we're going to curse him. He's just going to get annihilated. So we're going to save Bannon, come over here to the Cursed Cathedral again. I'm sorry, the cathedral rooftop. And then again, on this side, we are just going to hug the right as much as we can. There's going to be a couple little divots in here that you have to go through. But again, we are just focused on hugging the right as much as possible. Kill what you need to on your way. Level up vulnerability as you go, because it's going to make them take increased damage the higher level it goes. So, super useful to level it up. And at this point, guys, we're kind of just cruising. So there's a couple additional skill points that we're going to want to get in Act 10 to finish out and make sure we get all of them throughout the entire campaign. And then there's also the last Ascendancy trial that we're going to want to grab before we end up finishing the campaign. Okay, come down here to the Ravaged Square. Alright, once you're in the Ravaged Square, I typically like going north. There's a couple different zones we're going to go through in here, so... Actually, I went... don't go immediately north, I take that back. Come over here to the right just slightly, and once you see the second outlook here, like we're going on now, you want to take the second one, not the initial one you see when you go north. And then as soon as it breaks off here, you're going to want to go left. And then north again, and this should take you to the waypoint. As you can see, there it is. We're going to want to go into the ossuary, into the bone pits, and then this is where we're going to find the last Ascendancy trial. There's also a side quest that you can do in here, which will give you a passive respec point. If you come across it, feel free to do it. I wouldn't seek it out unless you absolutely need it. Sometimes I end up finding it just on my way looking for the Ascendancy trial, so if you do, like in this case, like we're about to run into it right now. So if you find it, go ahead and take it. There's nothing wrong with that. Alright, so this guy's got Soul Eater. It's a pretty nasty affix that you can find on certain mobs. That basically means every time you kill somebody close to him, he gets buffed up and he attacks faster, gets damage. So we're actually going to see if we can avoid him entirely. There is a crafting recipe over here that you want to grab. It's chaos damage, not a big deal for us. And then the Ascendancy trial is right over here. So we will quickly go through and grab this. Boom. These little needles will slow you down, but no biggie. That's done.
Where he stands.
We are going to ascend before we kill the Act 10 boss, so there's that respec point I was telling you about. Grab a... Let's grab the Onslaught Flask here.
Hello. Remember, we do
And then we're going to keep going. We are going to ascend before we kill the boss, like I mentioned, but we're going to keep going to these other locations first, and then we'll ascend right before we actually go to fight Kitava to finish the campaign. So here, from the waypoint, we're going to want to go right and then south. Get to the Torch Quartz. We're going to roll into the Torch Quartz real quick. Here again, we're just going to stick to the right side and continue moving south, actually. Oh, that's hard. We do need to start focusing on getting some additional armor now once we get that Disciple of the Unyielding node, so we can mitigate some of those hits. So you're going to keep hugging the right while you're trying to move south, and you'll find the next zone pretty easily here.
I cannot do this.
A lot of little corners and nooks in this zone, just like there was when we did Act 5. This area right here usually tells you you're on the right track, and then you have the door there to go to the desecrated chambers. So this is very similar in Act 5 when we went through these, the Templar chambers. This is a good place to level if you guys are behind on levels, but we're probably over, if anything, at this point. So if you are over, feel free to skip past a lot of these guys and just, like we've been doing, kill as you need to replenish your flash charges. Believe it or not, we are actually already almost done with Act 10, guys. There's 2 more locations we need to go to, and then we are ready to ascend and finish the campaign. There's a recipe in here, so if you are like me and want to collect them all, go ahead and grab the recipe. We are going to grab our last point here. Or, I'm sorry, we got to grab one more. So this will give us some increased area of effect. That's always helpful. We're also getting a ton of that from our Ascendancy. Just like in Act 5, there's usually a couple packs of blue and rare enemies here. I like to usually kill those guys before you go into the Sanctum of Innocence. Now we want to kill Avarius Reassembled, so don't forget to curse him with vulnerability. As you can see, his health is slowly draining if you look up there at the top, and that's because I've hit him with vulnerability, and that vulnerability does allow him to allow me to apply bleeding. So grab the staff, exit to town, give the staff to Bannon, go to Lonnie. She's going to give you an armor.
Freedom comes.
So let's see if this is any better than ours. Massive life and massive armor on that. That's actually really solid. And it's got something open for a suffix. So that's a massive upgrade from what we've got. A little less lightning resistance, but we can throw some fire resistance on there. But that's a ton of armor and a ton of extra life. So we definitely want to roll with that one. That ring and that unique are useless to us, so we will throw those in there. We will switch out our flask because this one is better. Drop the rest of these and then we want to take this and craft on it real quick before we switch it out. Throw some fire on this one. I am going to put the higher one for an alchemy orb, just to make sure we get it a bit higher, and can make sure, because we are about to lose some resistances once we do kill Kitava. Keep that in mind. You're going to lose 38% of your resistances again. So right now we're sitting at 109% cold, 102% lightning, and 96% fire. So if we were to lose that 30% right now, we would still be capped on lightning. We would be slightly undercapped on... I'm sorry, we would still be capped on cold. We would be slightly undercapped on lightning, and slightly undercapped on fire. So we definitely do want to get a bit more resistance before we end it, but if we don't, it's not a big deal. We just want to make sure that we recap as soon as possible. Let's re-enable auto-exertion. And then from the waypoint, now we want to go south back to the main area that we were in originally. That additional armor from the armor piece that we just applied is actually going to help with our physical mitigation as well, so it's going to help mitigate some damage. There's an alchemist mark, actually. So from here, we're going to want to go directly south to hit the next location that we're looking for. There is one more area you can go to, called the Reliquary. We are not actually going to go to that area because, again, all it awards you is a passive skill respec, and we don't need that. If you're following along with the notes that I'm telling you to take, you should be fine. And you should have also already gotten some passive respecs from the other quests that we've done. So you don't really need this one. But again, if you wish to go grab it, that is completely up to you. So this zone, we're actually going to hug the left side. And we're looking to fight Valenta, who is the unique boss in this area, which is going to give us our last skill point for the campaign. Remember, in this zone, when you see these little breaks in the fence, you can actually jump down past it. That Despot Axe might actually be an upgrade for us, so we're going to grab that real quick. You can see at this point, when we, especially when we have that empowerment from our Fist of War, we're basically clearing the entire screen at this point. So what we're looking for, going here to fight Valenta. She's going to phase twice. Basically do these strafing runs, and while she's doing those strafing runs, she's going to be summoning some adds, which, as we know, will always help us because it allows us to build up some of those frenzy charges, as well as refill our flasks. Recurse her with vulnerability. Keep slamming away. She's phased again. She'll start doing these strafing charges again. Or strafing runs, rather. Start accumulating our charges. Wait for her to unphase. Where'd she go? Oh, she's unphased. Slam away. Oop, took a chunk of our health there. And she's done. Exit the character selection. Go back to Lonnie. Grab our skill point. So that's the last skill point we're going to get. We are going to get 2 skill points once we kill Kitava. But not too important right now. Now we have a Disciple of Unyielding. So, ton of extra damage. Minimum endurance charge. So now we always have an endurance charge on us no matter what. And it gives us another source of generating endurance charges. So we should basically have our max endurance charges as soon as we enter any type of fight now. Alright, so now let's check out this axe. That is definitely not an upgrade for us, so we're not going to worry about that. We're going to throw that in here. What we are going to do is we're going to come in here. We do have Blacksmith's Whetstones. We're going to apply some of these till we get 20% quality, because that isn't going to increase the damage quite a bit for our axe. That's a really nice axe, actually, to have in the campaign here. We're going to throw these in here, and now we are actually going to go do our Ascension before we finish the campaign and kill Kitava one last time. So now we are going to do the Merciless Labyrinth state. So this says we should be level 68. We are currently level 66, so this is actually good, so I can show you guys that this really doesn't matter too much. The way we built our character is in a way that we should not have to worry about the fact that we're under level for this. Same strategies we've been using. Nothing is changing, guys. We're going to continue to move right. We're going to look for the Aspirant's Trial and look for anywhere where we're going directly to the next room. So that looks like we're going directly to the next room. We're going to go down the Sanatorium Halls. Again, usually when I'm in this type of area, when it looks like these, the halls, go out and immediately go up and keep hugging the right side. Just hug the right as much as you can, and you will usually find, say, the entrance to the next one. So that's a state path. That's not the one we want. Based on looking at that diagram, it looks like we can get directly to the Aspirant's Trial from here. So roll through these traps. There's the other entrance. So this one should be the Aspirant's Trial. And look at this. So let's grab the recipe for this one.
Weary traveler draws close to the end of the path.
Now, hopefully on this one we'll get 2 uses, and both of them will be quality on the Labyrinth font at the end once we do the final kill on Azaro. Ideally, we want that so we can cap out the quality on
Such resilience.
Earthshatter.
Wisdom is the offspring of suffering and time.
Again, ideally, we don't want to transition to Earth Shatter until we have it at 20% quality, because those extra fissures and spikes actually add a ton of damage to the skill. Nice. We're actually going to be focusing on some more armor, and then eventually some Warcry nodes as well on the passive tree to assist us with helping with our Warcry speed. And that's mainly because once we do transition to Earth Shatter, again, you can stay using Sunder if you want, but Earth Shatter is objectively a stronger skill. So again, it's completely up to you if you want to stick with Sunder. Just know that if you do stick with Sunder, it is objectively a weaker skill, pound for pound. So just keep that in mind. But if you do decide to shift to Earth Shatter, your War Cries are what is really going to enable the damage of Earth Shatter. Okay, let's see what we got here. Sanatorium Halls. Yep, so that's a golden door. So we're going to have to get a golden key in here in order to progress. Not a big deal. Again, I'm still going to hug the right. Okay, so that guy is a Soul Eater. We're not going to want to mess with him. So we have to. It's just not worth it. He's going to take forever to kill. So you can see here, in order to progress, it's a golden door. So I need a key. So somewhere in the zone, there's going to be somewhere where I can pick up a golden key in order to open one of those doors. And then it's kind of RNG when you get these, unfortunately, because you have to hope that the door you opened is the correct one you need. Otherwise, you're going through another zone. Again, not the end of the world, but obviously, if you're trying to do this as quickly as possible, it does have the potential to slow you down a bit.
Where there's a golden key, there must be a golden door.
You can see Azaro, you hear him in the background, he kind of just gave you the hint too. Where there is a golden key, there must be a golden door. He's basically telling you, hey, this golden key can be used on a golden door should you find one. So we're going to use it on this one. Another Despot Axe, it's nice. It's another potential upgrade. So we didn't get the right one. So you see, if I click off of this, you see there's another doorway right here. If I would have clicked on that doorway instead, we would have went straight to the Aspirant's Trial, which is the next. But now we have to go through this Sanatorium passage, unfortunately. Again, not the end of the world. Just takes a little longer. Not a big deal. We actually don't care about that silver key. We are just looking for the entrance, which is right there. So there you go, Aspirant's Trial.
When the time comes to strike, an emperor strikes without hesitation. Complex machination.
Okay. We're gonna kill Azaro for the second time now, and then we'll have one more to take him out.
Ability is alive. Such resilience.
Just like that, he's done.
Even the grandest designs can be dismantled.
Domain walkways, and now we just gotta find that last entrance. To fight him the third time. So you can see, as you can see, we're about to level up once, but this entire run so far, we've been 2 levels under what the recommended level is, and we're having no issues at all. So this one is going to take us to the next one. It is going to a silver key, but there is no direct line. There's our level. Okay, so we already got the Cycle of Unyielding. There are some pretty decent masteries for the Charge Mastery. You have another one that gives you an additional 3% increased damage per Endurance, Frenzy, or Power Charge. Now, mind you, it says or. So right now we have 5 Endurance charges, and we're also rocking 3 Frenzy charges. So that's technically 8 charges times 3%. That's 24% additional damage. We can also grab another Frenzy charge here, which is definitely going to help us. We don't have any other ways to get additional Frenzy charges that are close by, though. We do eventually want to make our way up here and grab this other Endurance charge. So that damage note isn't bad to go with. However, we would want to go with that increased charge duration. That just allows us to keep our charges active much longer. However, we're not really going to go for that right now. There's some other things we want to get. There's some of these elemental resistance nodes that are nice. As we look over here, we definitely want to get these armor nodes right here that give us additional elemental resistances, as well as armor, and then 1 to all maximum elemental resistances. So instead of having 75 as the max, it's going to raise it 1 to 76, so it mitigates damage just that much more. And then there's also these fortification nodes that we eventually wanted, and like I mentioned, we also want to start nabbing some of these Warcry nodes. So like these Warcry speed nodes are going to be great. If we come over here, these Warcry nodes for Warcry duration and buff effect. Same thing, these Warcry nodes for exerted attacks deal increased damage and recovery rate. And then these ones for additional recovery rate of Warcries. We're definitely going to want to pick those. There's also these nodes over here. Again, another 2% to all maximum resistances. In the campaign, at least, and in early maps, I also like coming over here to get Hatchet Master, just because it gives us a ton of extra attack damage with axes, a bunch more attack speed, and also gives us a 20% chance to gain Onslaught. And as you can see down there, it says Onslaught grants 20% increased attack cast and movement speed. Awesome to have. So I think we're going to spend the, 7 points to map over here real quick. Alternatively, we can also get these Warcry nodes. It's completely up to you guys. This is a lot of points to get over here, and we're going to be pretty well into maps, but I like having these for maps, and we already have plenty of damage. So this is going to be a good option, or coming over here to get Soul of Steel. Let's actually get the Soul of Steel. Let's focus a little bit more on our defenses. Then we can also come down here to get Bloodless. I typically like to have 3,000 plus life by the time I end the campaign. So this life wheel right here would definitely put us over that, and it'll also give us the added benefit that enemies can't leech life from us. So we'll grab this wheel over here in Soul of Steel, and then we can look at what other Warcry and damaging options we can get at that point. But that'll be, well into the end game. Once we get enough points to grab those. But definitely tons of options on the tree. Again, the way you build your character will dictate what options you choose. But there's multiple different options. So just because I'm building this specific character in this way does not mean you have to. Obviously, feel free to play along and copy me as I'm going, but there's definitely more ways you can build a character. Ooh. So if you stay in that green circle, he's actually going to teleport you, so just be careful of that, because it may put you in the spikes. And just like that, it's gone. I just realized in my recording, too, that you got part of the screen was cut off. Sorry about that, guys. So that treasure chest actually just opened 2 more keys for us, so that's nice. Devon Font. So, okay, so unfortunately we didn't get a second option, but we do get the quality. So we are going to take our Earth Shatter, put it in here for the quality. So we just need 8 more quality on that to be able to shift to Earth Shatter. Not the biggest deal. Throw our Herald of Ash on. Actually, move that to Blood Stance again. And then we get our last Ascendancy point here. So see what we want to do. So Unstoppable is the node I was talking about earlier that allows you to basically ignore being frozen. So this gives you 10% increased movement speed. It says you cannot be stunned, which is always nice. However, we already can't be stunned because we have Unwavering Stance. And the cannot evade enemy attacks really is no big deal for us because we're not focusing on evasion anyways. So this one's nice because it says action speed cannot be modified to below base value. Movement speed cannot be modified to below base value. What this effectively means is that no matter how big the chill is on you, no matter how whether they put temporal chains on you, no matter whether you can't be frozen, because frozen would mean that your action speed is reduced down to 0. So this effectively means that you cannot be slowed or frozen. You can't be slowed below your base movement speed, and you can't be frozen. So this does not mean that if you have an additional 25 or 30% movement speed on your character, that movement speed just stays there. You can still be slowed down to 0% movement speed, but because that is additional movement speed. So this is a pretty nice node to have. However, if we open up our Pantheon here, if you look right there in that second line, it says capture Mervale the Returned, 100% chance to avoid being frozen. This is something we can do in the end game that unlocks for us, which will allow us to remain unfrozen simply by keeping the Brine King Pantheon. So we're going to actually do that later on and not waste a point on Unstoppable, because as we already talked about, there's some pretty awesome nodes that we can get between these three right here. So this node right here, Unrelenting, additional elemental damage reduction and physical damage reduction, is really solid. Same thing with Unbreakable is really good, and then Untiring is also really good. In this case, I think we're going to go for Untiring, and then our last point is either going to be Unbreakable or Unrelenting. So we'll decide between those, but for right now, I think we're going to go with Unrelenting because the life regen, we're already tanky and we can take some pretty big hits, and this is just going to help us recover what damage we do take. So we're going to grab these. And we are done ascending. So now we are ready to kill Kitava. Let's clean out our inventory real quick, and then we can go ahead and finish the campaign. This axe is unfortunately not an upgrade. It's not nearly enough damage for us. These gauntlets are also not that great, and this amethyst ring is not that great. Oh, right here. See, again, this is another perfect example of what I mean, that you can build a character multiple ways, and there is no right or wrong way. As long as you're having fun and you're getting the result you're going for. Obviously, there are optimal ways to build a character that are probably the best, but there are usually always multiple avenues you can go down in order to build a character. In this case, the Dream Fragments ring says you cannot be chilled or frozen. In the same case, I can also take my Ascendancy point here that says Unstoppable, which prevents me from being frozen, or I can take my Pantheon here, which prevents me from being frozen. So those are three different options you can take to make it to where you cannot be frozen, which is definitely something you will want to take on pretty much every one of your characters. Find some way to avoid being frozen. Obviously, that ring you would have to find, so that's probably not the ideal option, but nevertheless, you get the point. So we'll go back to the Ravaged Square, and then Innocence is actually going to be over here. We're going to talk to him. He's going to open up this pathway, and we are going to go through to the next zone, the canals. And this is the second from the last zone that we're going to have for the campaign, and we are done. So again, this one is kind of winding, just like the High Gardens in Act 8 were, so it's pretty easy to navigate your way around this area. You're just going to follow the path. I would like to pick up another level before we get to Kitava if we can. If we don't, it's not the biggest of deals. We're already crushing, and we're going to have no problem killing Kitava. But I would like to start getting some of those armor nodes to make us just a bit more tanky. So we'll keep making our way down this path. Again, this one is kind of just a windy. There's no additional things we need to do at this point. So there's no additional side quests that we haven't done or that we need to do or anything of that nature. So nothing to pay attention to as far as that goes. You're pretty much just killing as you need to go through here and trying to make your way to Kitava. We'll go through the feeding trough. This has two sides. Doesn't matter what side you pick because they'll both end at the end, or they'll both take you to the end where you need to kill Kitava. I wanted to get that extra level, but it doesn't look like there's enough density in here. I don't think we're going to get it before we get to Kitava. So again, not a big deal. I'm actually at the level you should be for this zone, which is 67, so it's a good indication. Again, you guys are probably going to be over-leveled at this point, which is even better. It's going to give you a bit more leeway. Do want to grab these sulfite veins. Same, and like I said earlier, if you guys see a league mechanic or see something, or if you want me to make a video going over any league mechanics or how you can incorporate them into your playthrough, feel free to drop a comment and let me know. Clear out this last blue pack here, and we should be at the end. Yep, so we're going to grab this last crafting recipe, talk to Sin real quick, and then we are going to go to the Altar of Hunger. And now it's game time. Curse him with our vulnerability, and then at this point we just start chunking away at him. So he's phased now. We got all of our auras enabled. Alright, War Cry, Curse the Heart. Start slamming. Alright. He's taking the heart. Wait for him to slam Sin. Now he's ready to be damaged again. Start hitting him again. We've already caused him to bleed, which is definitely going to help with the damage. And he's phased once again. So these little pools right here, those are the things you want to watch out for. Though, if anything, those are the things that are going to kill you. And that red dot right there. But any damage over time effects is what you really want to watch out for, because those are the things that are going to end up getting you. Curse the Heart. War Cry. Slam it a couple times. Take the heart back. He grabs Innocence and he'll slam Innocence, and then he'll be ready to attack again. So War Cry, curse him, start slamming him, try to avoid these things so you don't get hit and you don't get that dot on you. He's phased again. Should be the last phase. War Cry, curse, get away from these X's when he does that. Massive damage, and it is likely to one-shot you even with these defenses. And he's done. Okay, the heart's going to come out one more time. We just got to deplete the health on the heart, and we have beat Kitava. Keep slamming it around, and boom, there you go. You have now completed the Path of Exile 1 campaign. Congratulations. Okay. The heart is destroyed. Talk to Sin. Open up into his portal, which will take you back to the Oriath docks. You can go to Lonnie. And now Lonnie is going to give you a skill book, and this one actually gives you 2 passive skill points. So we're going to grab that. Like we were already working on, we're going to grab these nodes with elemental resistance to also help with our resistances. And we're actually in solid spot. So grabbing those 2 nodes actually put our fire resistance over 75. Actually, our max is 76 with fire. So we're capped on fire and we're capped on cold and lightning. So there's no adjustments we need to make to any of our gear for resistance-wise. And that's ideally the spot you want to be in, so you don't have to make any of those adjustments once you do get done with the campaign. That way you can just roll right into maps. If you do, if you haven't been as lucky as I have, or if you haven't been able to craft or might have taken more time, check your gear, see what you can take. Like, these gloves are terrible at this point. I can definitely gamble for some better gloves to get some more resistances and some more useful stats on there. So that's kind of a dead item. It's really just giving me a bit of attack speed and cold resistance, so you can definitely do better than that. Alright, so at this point there's a couple different things I want to go over before we end the video. You have now officially completed the campaign. You are ready to move into endgame. One of the things you want to do is hit enter on your keyboard to talk in the chat. You want to do a backslash and then type in passives. And this is going to tell you whether you've gotten the passives from all these side quests or not. If you see right here that it says 24 passive skill points from quests, you know you are good. The only reason that yours should not say 24 passives is if you decided to do something different for the deal with the bandits. If you decided to side with the Lyra, if you decided to side with, I'm forgetting their names now, but the other 2 bandit lords, if you decided to side with any of those to get the bonus that they offered, you are going to show a 0 here from deal with the bandits. That's okay. You can respec that later on using a recipe, but if you followed my instructions and took the skill point, then you should have 24 passive skill points. So campaign is finished. If you type in /played, it looks like we played 8 hours, 14 minutes, and 28 seconds. Not a bad timing. As a new player, it might take you significantly longer than that because you're either looking back at this video, you're watching this video, you're moving it back, you're going slower than I am. That is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So we are done with the campaign now. Like I said, at this point, I would also check my gear to adjust resistances. But again, because we took those last 2 nodes on our tree right here, our resistances are actually good. So now we will talk to Lily Roth and then set sail to Orioth. This is going to take you to the Karui Shores. Your character is going to wake up real quick. You're going to go talk to Helena.
Journey well.
Walk over here and grab this crafting recipe because this is for movement speed. You definitely want this. And then actually exit the character screen and go back in. And this will just get you to the zone quicker. Once you get to this zone, you're going to want to talk to Commander Kirak. And he's going to give you a map, just like the ones we've been picking up. And now at this point, you can identify this map, and then you can start interacting with the Path of Exile 1 endgame system, which is mapping. So that's it, guys, at this point. So I will do a show of what the passive tree looks like, or where we kind of were with the tree. So get it somewhere where you can see it to where my camera isn't blocking everything. Looks like there. So again, we kind of went through these starting nodes, through the melee nodes, grabbed the versatility and Heart of the Warrior, came over here and then kind of bum rushed our way to Resolute Technique and grabbed these rage nodes. We came down here to get these axe nodes and some of the mana here, along with some of our armor and life over here. Then we came down here and got some of these resistance nodes, grabbed some more physical damage nodes, some of these physical damage nodes we grabbed on Wavering so we couldn't be stunned. Then we kind of beelined our way down here to get the rest of these physical nodes and physical attack speed nodes. Then we came over here, grabbed these nodes through the duelist section of the tree. Came over here and got Golem's Blood and some of these health nodes. We grabbed the Vigor over here for the additional endurance charge, and then came down here for the Disciple of the Unyielding. And then just recently with those last couple points, we were branching out over here to grab some of these armor nodes and these health nodes. So, again, that's it for the tree, guys. Pull up the gear real quick. This was our axe. Pretty nice axe. We were constantly upgrading this throughout the campaign, either by gambling with Faustus or whoever is the gambler in town for that specific act. Again, we're looking for increased physical damage, and then adds flat physical damage. If you get any type of elemental damage, like we did in this case with the lightning, that's also pretty solid. And then, of course, the increased attack speed is always welcomed as well. This is a really good axe to get. This is not out of the ordinary for one of you guys to get this as well. It's pretty easy through the gambling that I mentioned. Helmet, again, just resistances, armor, and life. Chest piece, resistances, armor, and life. Again, we went over the gloves. The gloves are kind of a nothing burger. Really, the only thing they're giving me is some cold resistance and a tiny bit of attack speed. But other than that, these gloves are actually kind of garbage. Boots, we're looking for movement speed, health, and resistances. Again, any kind of additional armor or strength that you can get is awesome. Belt, again, resistances, armor, life. And rings are kind of the same deal, just life and resistances. Any additional, like you see here where it says adds additional physical damage to attacks or elemental damage is nice. That physical damage leeches mana is also nice. Same thing here, some additional physical damage, some attributes, resistances. Actually, this amulet is also another crap amulet. I think I've had this actually since Act 3. So that's just been chilling there. Same thing with these gloves. These gloves are actually item level 26, so I've had those, again, roughly since Act 3. So 2 of these pieces of gear I haven't even upgraded since the beginning of the playthrough. So that's where the gear is. Flasks are pretty standard. Just some Quicksilver flask, a Granite flask, a mana, and a Life flask. To go over our gems real quick, in our main 4 link, we have Sunder, melee physical damage, overexertion, and Fist of War. It is very possible for you to have gotten a 5 link in the campaign, and your damage would have been even higher than mine. As you can see throughout the playthrough, though, we had absolutely no issues with damage. We were basically 1 and 2 shotting almost every mob, with a few exceptions, and most bosses gave us little to no trouble whatsoever. So, if you got a 5-link, I would suggest keeping Sunder, Melee Physical, Overexertion, and Fist of War. If you got the 5-link, I would add in Pulverize. If you had another red socket. If you had a green socket, you could always add in faster attacks or melee combat support. Or, I'm sorry, close combat support. Either of those would work just fine. We were also still rocking Herald of Ash. We had Seismic Cry that we were manually casting, Blood Rage that we were manually casting, and Vulnerability that we were manually casting. We were using Frost Blink along with Leap Slam linked with faster attack support to get around. Those were our main movement abilities. We have Blood and Sand as our other aura to give us a bit more damage. And then we were actually just leveling Pride. We weren't even using Pride, so it would actually probably be better for you to switch over to Pride and drop Herald of Ash at this point. Just make sure you have enough mana to sustain that and make it work with your attacks. So that's where we are with our skills, with our gear, and with the passive tree. At this point, you guys are pretty much ready to start going into endgame maps. Again, you want to make sure that you absolutely have your resistances capped. I would also, at this point, start gambling with Faustus for some additional gear. For instance, we said our gloves were terrible, so I would come over here to Faustus and I would gamble for some additional armor-based gloves. Like, these gloves right here are already better than what we're currently using. Those are way better. They have a prefix open, so you can even add some damage onto them. They're giving us resistance. It's not the cold resistance we need, so that doesn't necessarily work. But if we keep gambling here, we'll eventually get something that works for us. So even this one, we can add... These are actually all kind of terrible, unfortunately. This one's probably the best one, but it doesn't give us that cold resistance that we want, so we could always recraft. Instead of the fire resistance on here, we could craft the cold instead and swap out these gloves, and that would actually work, so we'll do that right now. Blood and Sand. We can go and sell all these. Go to our hideout. So you can see right now our cold resistance is lower. So just take the... which has the lower fire. This has lower fire. Slap some cold resistance on there. And now we're overcapped on everything, which is ideally where you want to be. And just like that, that's where you're at. So, again, if you had any kind of additional gear that wasn't great, gamble for it, or just start running maps. So that's where we're at, guys. That's the end of the campaign. Congratulations, you completed the Path of Exile 1 campaign. Most people don't even get through that, so give yourself a pat on the back. Now it's time for you to get involved in where the game actually starts, which is the end game. So if you want to see more of the end game, or tips about getting started in the end game, what it looks like to get started in the end game fresh out of the campaign, let me know. I'm happy to create a video, and I probably will create a video that goes through some of those tips and tricks. But until further notice, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for clicking. Appreciate the support.